I don't give a shit.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Spectacle Squad. Joining me today are Jordan and Tyler. What's up, guys?
Hi,
Hey,
I'm Jordan.
I'm Tyler.
You're Ben.
I am Ben. Thank
He's
you
Ben.
for pointing that out. No, we're still set up like we normally are. We just wanted to kind of mix things up a little bit today. Today we're going to be talking about our favorite video game soundtracks.
Yes.
We found out at the end of the last recording that we were all huge band nerds. And we ended up listening to just random ass music and talking about the good old days for like 2+ hours. And so
Yeah, it was a good time. I enjoyed it.
yeah, so I figured this time why don't we steer into that a little bit and kind of talk about some of our favorite soundtracks throughout the years. And I think we all have our top fives ready.
Yep.
And then let's just kind of jump into it. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to play any of the soundtracks on here because
Copyright.
we have no way to do that.
I think
So-
technically you can do like 10 seconds.
Yeah, but 10 seconds. isn't
Yeah,
gonna
but
do
doesn't it
much
just seems like so much
for
more
you
fun
for
to
a while
just
of it.
sing it?
10 seconds is a long time.
You say it's gonna be more fun to sing it?
Yeah, we're just gonna like.
That's not gonna
parts
happen.
you-
That's definitely not happening.
yeah. You gotta sing out the parts. To the song,
You can do you, but I'm
Bet,
not
bro.
doing that.
Bet I'm gonna get it right up to the mic and go. "Bah, bah, bah, bah." Like it's gonna be amazing.
So I guess that's a clue to your first one.
It's not my first one, but
Are you doing this in a particular order?
so I figure what we do is we'll just start out at number 5, and then I'll talk about mine, yours.
Oh,
Yours.
let's go.
Well, like not no asshole. He meant like, are we all doing all of our list
Man,
at once?
both of y'all are feisty today.
So are we doing like each of our 5s and each of our 4s and each of our 3s?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. As you can tell, we don't really plan this shit out.
Why would we?
Fuck, man, you got on me for that.
Sorry.
I know how lists work, asshole.
I don't think anybody that's coming to a YouTube exclusive podcast is expecting high quality.
YouTube exclusive makes me feel like I'm part of YouTube Red or some shit.
We're
I
not.
wish.
Not
Yeah.
even close.
Yeah.
We're the new Logan Paul.
What?
We're the first account to be deleted when they go through to start deleting stuff.
Yeah. When they do the great YouTube.
Okay, so that was my bad. Somehow the system stopped recording. Anyways, you were saying the great YouTube perch?
Man, this is such a good start to this.
I was gonna say you don't have to do that because that's the whole point of like editing is like just make it seamlessly move from one thing to another.
Okay, so just act like it didn't happen.
Hold on. 3, 2.
What?
All right, starting off at number 5. All right, who wants to go first?
You do.
Yeah,
I go
you
first?
do.
Okay. All right. So, I'm not putting these in any particular order. Which one's like my favorite?
Well,
of
we
all
just
time.
said they're gonna be at
Well,
5.
meant like I have them numbered, but I'm talking about me specifically. Like this doesn't like dictate like which one I like more than the other. If that makes sense. They're all just kind of equal to me, but these are the top 5 that I wanted to talk about. So I'm starting off with. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this first one might be a little bit of a curveball, but the first game I wanted to talk about was Battlefront 2. And not the 2017 one. I'm talking about the OG one. Way back in the, I think it was like 2006. I don't remember.
So what's the difference?
What do you mean, what's the difference?
We're talking about soundtrack. What's the difference between the two?
Well, because, let me get into that.
Okay.
Because I was going to say, so the thing that...
I'm ready.
I know, I'm trying
I was asking a question.
God, what a mess. Okay. So the thing that I like about this soundtrack is that there's nothing original about it. It's just the music from the movies. It's just the John Williams composed music, and that's what makes it so great, because it's all that game is basically just you creating these really awesome battles. It's like, do you want to be a clone and destroy some droids? You can do that. Do you want to be a soldier for the Empire and kill some rebels? You can do that. Do you want to put every single lightsaber wielding badass all together on one level and just kill the fuck out of each other? You can do that too. All to the amazing soundtracks that were already provided to them, so they didn't have to do almost anything, and it works so well. I love it.
Indeed.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot. It's like
it's
the sound of my childhood. 'Cause that was the game I played for like, I don't know.
I suppose I
4
put
years,
so
so
much time because
much.
that one had Galactic Conquest on it,
Oh my
and I
God.
played the shit out of Galactic
Same.
Conquest.
It was
And no, granted, I'm pretty sure a lot of the music was from Episode 3, just because that's what a lot of the game focused on. Like there were
Yep.
so many levels from Episode 3. like a bunch of random ass planets that they almost spent no time on.
If I remember right, the campaign followed the end of 2 through 3 and into 4 technically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sort of.
Okay.
It did. Well, it did.
Yeah, it did. No,
Yeah.
you're right. So they came up with the story with the whole. They built up the 501st and stuff like that, and you played through as them, starting off as Phase 1 armor. After I think you start off on the Battle of Geonosis, and then you end at the Battle of Hoth. I'm pretty sure, or maybe they might go all the way through to the Empire. I don't remember.
I think
They do a little bit.
Or through to Return of the Jedi.
I think it goes to Endor
Yeah, you're right.
because there's an Endor map.
Yeah.
Doesn't it switch between like the 501st and then it goes to the Rebels?
No.
I don't think you ever plays the Rebels. I think just the 501st just like becomes like the Stormtroopers and stuff
Oh,
like
okay,
that.
gotcha.
So, because like the 501st turns into Vader's fist. That's what they
That's
call
right.
Maybe it does end at Hoth now that I think about it, because that was the last time the Imperials won a major battle,
That's true.
and it would be weird to have you.
Battlefront 3 ended at Endor.
Battlefront 3?
There was a Battlefront 3. Yeah.
Was that the PSP exclusive?
Yep.
I never played it.
I didn't either.
I paid it because I had a PSP, so it was okay.
I had a PSP, but I only got it because you could jailbreak it and put Game Boy games on it.
Fair enough.
I just did it because like at that point the movies were really really cheap on there.
UMD movies?
Yeah,
Jesus.
I was a little kid and I didn't have
Not a
anyone
way to
watch
watch a movie.
it. Dude.
You ever wanted to watch Triple X on the smallest screen imaginable? Pixely as fuck?
The
You want to watch
the two
a movie
movies
on
that
a Tamagotchi, basically?
The two movies that I watched the most were Sky High and the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, that's a good one.
I won't argue.
That was the
Okay,
shit.
first of all, both of y'all are backwards on that shit. You laughed at Sky High, which is a dope fucking original superhero movie.
I love Sky High. I'm not shitting
And then
on it.
you're saying League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was good?
It's got Sean Connery.
Oh yeah, because that marks quality movies.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Jesus.
Hey.
Have you watched Highlander? No.
No.
Yeah. I answered that for you.
Okay.
So,
But yeah, I just loved it because like they didn't have to like there was nothing else, like they did the exact thing they were supposed to do. They just slapped that music on top of it, and you just get like swept up into the worlds of those movies. Like it's just so well done. Like and you're playing these gigantic battlefields, and you just like feel like you're a part of it.
but I guess my question still remains: why the differentiate? Oh, shit.
Differentiate between the new ones because the new ones did more original music.
Did they?
Yeah, they use stuff from the movies, but they did a lot more original content, especially 2 because 2 had its original campaign along
Well,
with
that's
it.
true, but I just assumed that with the quality of music and everything now, it would have been a lot better, and they probably would have had. It seems like that
they do use it, and it is a lot more fun. And I think if you really want to get down to the wires, you could probably throw it on there. But the thing about the new one for me is that it's a lot more like individual, and it's a lot more like newer shooter games nowadays. And it just the thing that I like about the original Battlefront 2 is that it was literally just you having these giant battles. And it was like there was nothing like it was just that was it. Like there was no like the campaign was kind of there, but it really wasn't anything. It was really just like
Everybody just
you
went
really
to
just
instant action
you,
and go
you
after
just had
conquest.
you just had VO in the loading screen of whatever dude who played the clones talking about it, and that was it. And then you just
It's the
get
same dude from Clone Wars, is it?
I don't know if they had gotten that guy at that point. I thought it was still a different dude, but
I thought it was him. Like I thought
mean,
he's
it
been
could be.
doing it ever since.
it could be
Because I think it's the same guy that does Obi-Wan and Anakin. He's that guy does the voice acting in all the video games.
well he does that for that, but I know for the new Battlefront 2 they got all the people from the Clone Wars TV show to do everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they did it at this point because I wasn't around back then, but.
But I think that's where they got those voice actors for
Oh
the
yeah,
show. Because they did all the games first.
I am blanking on all of their names. I know Matt Lanter played Anakin, and I don't remember the guy who plays Obi-Wan, but and then there's a second guy that does all the clones, and then a bunch of other of the background voices too. But anyways, but yeah, so that's all the campaign was. But it was essentially, but I never really even played the campaign. I did Galactic Conquest, which is just giant battles over and over again. You're trying to take over the galaxy, and then you just have these giant like huge John Williams scores to back it. Like it would be so much fun. Like when you were on like Geonosis and you heard like those I forgot what to be honest I don't remember the soundtrack much from 2 just because it's the movie I watched the least. But I remember on episode 3 anytime you're on an episode 3 level, it's just the Duel of the Fates comes on, and you're like, hell yeah, let's
The
kill
entire
some fucking-
Mustafar map.
Yeah, like it was just so much fun, and it just really, really helped suck you into that world.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
It definitely helps with replayability for me because I mean, like, I still go back and play it occasionally, like when I'm in my hometown, because I have a friend that I always play with.
Just in your hometown.
Yeah,
dude,
I haven't brought my PlayStation 2 here. Oh, that's actually a really good idea. I should do that sometime.
at 360, because that was an Xbox game. 360 made it backwards compatible.
Oh,
so
shit.
Me and my friends, we played that shit out of
It's
that.
backwards
That
compatible on Xbox One as well.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy, you know, I can still play the game. It's a lot more buggy now, but it's still so much fun to do. Though I will say, I noticed though that your team can win or lose no matter if you play or not, because like the CPUs will still kill each other, and so like you can do nothing and you can still watch them do their. It's really funny.
You can kill your whole team and just be a one-man army.
Or not even that, but you can just like sit back and do nothing, and then like you could have no effect on the battle, and they could still like one team could win or lose. It's really weird the way that game was made, but that, and I do remember all the space battles were kind of funny to me because they would have like all these different levels, but it only really mattered if you wanted to play as the Empire or as like the Republic, because it was just over a planet and then the levels were set up exactly the same.
It always made me laugh because for some reason, like, everything about those games was like very tried to as close as possible be like to scale, except for the space battles. The space battles, the cruisers were
Yeah.
like
Tiny.
yeah, like the hangar could only hold like four ships, and then whenever you fly in, you like enter it, and then it's just like
Yeah.
there's just that one room, and it's like this is the whole ship, and then like when you fly around, like whenever your fighter. I was like fighter pilot. No, stop saying fighter pilot. When your fighter's just going around, and you like fly past the bridge, like the bridge is 3 times smaller than your whole aircraft, and it's
Yeah.
like, are there, I don't know, like little Ugnaughts in there that are flying this
Yeah.
thing? I hope not. It's an Imperial cruiser.
That and like those missions were fun to play, but they always pissed me off because they're just.
I liked the ship controls though; they were actually pretty decent for the time.
I will say the new Battlefront 2 got the scaling a lot better on that, because there's a level that's literally just centered around a First Order Star Destroyer, and you get to fly in between those things, whatever those things are. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, so that's basically my number 5. So I don't know if anyone else
Not a terrible choice.
It's a little bit of a curveball.
Pretty predictable.
I know it's kind of
Curveball.
Well, it's just because it's not
Because
technically.
we haven't talked about Star Wars in the last 5
Yeah,
minutes.
this was the
No.
Star Wars podcast. Did you
No, I
forget?
meant because like it's not like technically like an original like soundtrack. They literally just pulled the music from the movies and slapped it on top of it and called it good. So that's what I meant by that.
Well, I was going to do my list in a descending order, but might as well just continue the flow. My pick is Star Wars Dark Forces.
Interesting.
It's to me like, I'm out of us being music nerds, I'm probably the least music nerd out of everybody. Like, I like music, but not like a whole bunch. And when it comes to video games, maybe it discredits me as a gamer, but I don't pay attention to the music as much. So to me, most of this list is just the nostalgia of games that how they've stuck with me for so long. But the first video game I ever remember playing is Star Wars Dark Forces on my Gateway computer in like 1995. And it is a first-person Doom clone shooter.
Yep.
It's very pixely. It's also it's on PS1. I own the PS1 copy now, and I play it on my PS3 sometimes. But to me, that game, like, say, it is the music from the movies, but there's just something, the compression at the time, it's a little bit more digitally sounding. I don't think it's MIDI, but I think that it's pretty close. But yeah, for me, just the music for the particular missions, along with like the sound effects and hearing the stormtroopers like yell stuff at you as you wildly shoot at them with old style first person shooter where you can't aim or anything. It just brings back a lot of memories, and I think that game just, it was like a week or two ago, just celebrated its 25th birthday. So
Gosh, that's crazy.
yeah.
You know, I think, and then I can't speak to this as much as maybe like you could or some of other fans could, but it's like back then it wasn't super easy to just watch the movies and stuff like that or listen to the soundtracks because Lucasfilm was very tight and held on to their stuff very closely. And so whenever you got to, when a new game came out or something like that, or a new commercial or a new like tie-in or something like that, people like really gravitated towards those because it was like, more Star Wars, because it's definitely not like it is today. We have a movie coming out like every other year and stuff like that. So I think that for older games like that, that was definitely an added bonus because you're like just more Star Wars, and then like you get to hear those soundtracks over and over again.
And the games at the time were really weird because like, so the first time I played Dark Forces was, it was probably for my birthday or something. My parents bought me this. It was like a 6-pack of Star Wars computer game demos that were like, each one had like 3 missions on it, and it was probably like, I don't know, at the time it was probably like $30, but you know, if now it would be like 15 or, you know, $10, like it, because it's literally just like the disc for it had the first 3 missions, and that was it. Like once it was over, it was like, be sure to buy the whole copy. But it also came with TIE Fighter, X-Wing, and then Rebel Alliance, and then I forgot the other one, but it was like, so it was mostly ship combat games, which I've never really been into, like the ship combat. Like I like it sometimes, but like,
Yeah.
like dogfights in space weren't my thing. It was the being on the ground, it was the lightsabers and the force powers. That was the stuff that drew me to Star Wars. So, and then one of the games, I forgot what it was called, but it was the terrible live action game where it's like, it's basically a rail shooter.
Yeah.
And it's just like a live action person walking around like a green screen, and that has like pre-rendered sets on there, and then like you like will aim at stormtroopers and shoot them.
Oh, it's like those arcade shooters that like.
Yeah, but it's like
bowling
real
alleys and
people.
stuff.
It's
Yeah.
like Mortal Kombat. You know, the original Mortal Kombat was
Yeah.
like photo, like they shot video and then they pixelated it and put it in the game. That's what this
okay.
was. But it's weird because it starts with you flying a B-wing, and it was one of the first times that you see, like, you see B-wings in the movies, but they never really talk about them.
So I say they only showed up very briefly in Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was really weird, and then I convinced my dad to buy me the full Dark Forces game because he started getting into it, and then we got stuck on like the 11th level or something, and it wasn't until like 10 years later that I figured out how to finish it. But I really enjoyed that game. I like it better than Doom or Wolfenstein or any of those old classic games because it was.
What was the story to that game?
So you play as a merc. You're an ex-Imperial officer, now merc, named Kyle Katarn, and you are hired by the Rebel Alliance to investigate. Well, the very first mission is you breaking into an Imperial base to steal the Death Star plans, and then they're given to Princess Leia, and then A New Hope happens. So it's the original Rogue One. But then after that, you are hired by the Rebels to investigate an attack on a Rebel base by an unknown super weapon that the Imperials have just launched. And it ends up being a new type of trooper that's a combination of like a Terminator and a Stormtrooper called a Dark Trooper. And it's like it's weird because it's like they do like there's 2 versions of them. There's the endoskeleton one, which looks like a Terminator. It's all metal. It's got the red eyes, and it makes mechanical. It's like meow meow when it's like attacking you. And then there's the Dark Trooper, and it's got like smoky gray Stormtrooper armor on with a jetpack. And the one that you see today, if you've played either of the Battlefront games and you've seen the Dark Trooper, that's from Dark Forces. Like that's the original.
Shit, that's really. I always wondered what those guys were from.
Yep, and it's crazy that they're still putting them in games today after now erasing Kyle Katarn, because Kyle Katarn was one of my favorite characters. The sequel to Dark Forces, Jedi Knight, was one of the first games that I ever got to play with a lightsaber, and that was really cool. And it had a branching story path. You could go light side or dark side, and that one had live action cutscenes, and it was fucking dope.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but so that's for me. Dark Forces, first game I ever played when I was just a wee lad.
Speaking on a tangent about that, I will say Solo.
Star Wars?
Yes, on Star Wars. So I will say Solo probably did one of the best, like, ground trooper, ground combat Star Wars scenes when you're first introduced to Han after he escapes his planet or whatever.
When
he's
they're in World War One.
Yeah, basically. I thought that was really cool because you don't see that shit most of the time. Most of the ground battle that you see is like on Geonosis.
I was gonna say it's either that or the Scarif scene in Rogue One.
Yeah,
I would probably flip those two back and forth. Like the whole Battle of Scarif was amazing. I loved it. So,
anyways, my number 5 is Crash Bandicoot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was a PS1 game / PS2, depending on which one you played, and the title screen soundtrack is pretty much the same for almost all of them, and I fucking love it. Like, I can imagine hearing it in my head and just the 90s, like, weird stereotypical, like, surfer music, kind of like the bona.
I thought you said you weren't gonna sing it.
You have to. We got to visualize it.
I wasn't technically singing. I was.
Oh, you were scatting it.
I was scatting.
Okay, that's what I was talking about too. Like scatting all these songs.
But yeah, I don't know. That's another piece of my childhood because I played those games with my dad and my sister.
I remember.
I just fucking love it.
I remember the sound effects of that game more than anything else. Like when you the wow, or whenever he got the master.
Bundaga.
Bundaga. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go around my house saying that until my parents got mad at me. That was the one thing I always took from that game. But then I always remember like when you do that and you would like destroy boxes and shit like that. Like just so many of those, like they're all just keep flooding back. Or like whenever you get like an apple or something like that. Oh my gosh! And then
excuse you, sir. It's a Wampa fruit.
Whatever, apple Wampa fruit, kiss my ass. But there's one level in particular. I remember it was. I don't remember what game it was. It was the one where you had to go through all the portals and stuff like that.
Oh, that was 2.
So that 2? Okay, do you remember the
Cortex Strikes Back.
The plane level? You're having to destroy all the airships and blimps.
Oh,
and
you're
stuff?
thinking of 3. I'm sorry, I was wrong.
Okay,
because there's several games where you go through portals.
So I played 3, and then I played the one where they were like on an island or something like that.
Crash of the Titans, I think.
Yeah. Those are the ones I played the most of, but.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those nostalgic things for me, and I love it. I like I said, I can imagine in my head right now. I'm just it makes me happy.
I missed out on that. When I was a kid, I didn't get into PlayStation until high school. I didn't have that. My first console was a Game Boy, and then I went to N64, and then I went to Xbox, and then I stuck with Xbox for a while, and then when I started having free money, that's when I was like, ooh, PlayStation 2, I'll get one of those, and I'll get one of these things. And so, yeah, I didn't get a chance to play any of those. A lot of classic games. I didn't get to play, like, Zelda or anything either, because I didn't know to get into it at the time.
I missed out on a lot of that stuff. So, and the Mario, I was always hit or miss.
Yeah.
If I had to, when I got a Game Boy, I played some Mario games, and I didn't really have any Zelda games. And then when I got my DS, it was a lot of Mario Kart, Mario Party, those kind of things. But yeah,
I would definitely recommend if you're gonna go back and play them, don't play the remasters, play the originals, because with the remaster they fucked up. So like the original games each had their own like style for jumping and stuff, and like there's a shadow that you could follow. Well, in the remasters they forgot to add that shadow, or they like didn't quite adjust the jumping to each game, so it's just one jump mechanic that doesn't totally work for it. And there's this mission in the 3rd or 2nd game, I don't remember which one, but it's such a fucking pain because it's on this bridge in the clouds, and it's so fucking notorious for people getting stuck on it.
Yeah.
It's the worst level in the remaster.
You know the thing I remembered a lot of those games is that they would do like the running like levels where you'd have to run and
The
like,
Indiana Jones ones.
Yeah, they would do like the running towards the camera you're having to do. They did that so many times in that game. Like that was such a common thing throughout that.
The only time I played Crash Bandicoot was while playing Uncharted 4.
I knew you were gonna
Because
say that.
they make you play it for a minute, and I was like, oh, I'll play. Oh, I suck.
That's bad.
Yeah.
And
I
then you
need
get
to
to
play
hear
Uncharted 4.
Nathan Drake shitting on the game the whole time.
Yeah.
I love that Naughty Dog is so self-aware.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my number 5.
Down to my number 4. Which one do I want to talk about next? Well, you know, I already mentioned this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
My number 4 is going to be Mario Kart, and you can throw in the new one or. I never got to play like the original one. I would say the first one that I got into was the Mario Kart for the DS.
Yeah, same.
And I played the
Wow.
shit out of that one. And then I think since I played Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart 8, and I still play the shit out of Mario Kart 8. I think you can kind of rope Nintendo games kind of into this entire thing. Nintendo has got its shit together when it comes to making soundtracks. Like everything they make is almost everything they make is gold. It's amazing. And the thing I love about Mario Kart is like I can constantly remember like the opening theme for when you like boot up Mario Kart 8 now. It's so ingrained in my head, and it just keeps going and going. And there's a really cool video on YouTube where they did the live recording of that, and they show the whole thing, and it's just like an 8-9 minute thing where it's like these jazz musicians are just fucking killing it. And they do that for almost every single level's got its own music. They did really cool. So like I remember in 8 they threw in a bunch of like Zelda levels, Donkey Kong levels, a bunch of other things, and they did like tie-ins with that. So like when you're playing the Zelda theme, you get a lot of like stuff that was from Breath of the Wild and threw it in there, and they just did such an amazing job. And then like whenever you're like driving through the levels, the farther you get, the music will change with it. And whenever you get to the last like lap, it gets like super intense, but it's so natural. It's not like just they're repeating everything. It's so good, and it's one of my favorite parts about that game. That was one of the Mario Kart 8 soundtrack was one of the first soundtracks I really started listening to without playing the game, because I just loved it so much, and it's just so good. I don't know if either of y'all have played it.
I've only played the first one.
I only played
The
the
one-
one on DS, and whenever I was at my friend's house, I don't know which one it was.
Not even the first Mario Kart. The only Mario Kart I played is Mario Kart 64.
64?
Because it was a pack-in.
Wasn't that the first one?
No, the first one was on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that the one where it was like super flat and it was just...
It looks
Yeah.
kind of pole position-y, but better. Yeah. That was the first one.
They're definitely enjoyable, and it doesn't have a memorable soundtrack. I mean, even just the sound effects are really fucking memorable. Like when you're getting an item from one of those cubes, or when you get fucking blue shelled.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Blue shells were everywhere.
Yeah.
No, they just, I don't know, like something about, because then like you can talk about like Zelda games and stuff like that too, especially like Breath of the Wild's got such an amazing soundtrack, but I don't know what it is with them, but they figured it out, man. And then if you played Mario Odyssey, like they did their own original song for New Donk City that you get to hear at the end of it where they're performing it live, and it's so well done, and it's such a weird. And I didn't know this until I started researching it, but Japan has such like an interesting like jazz culture that I never really knew existed, and that's where a lot of the music for Nintendo comes from. And they have like some of the greatest jazz musicians in the world over there. Like you wouldn't think that, but it's really its own big thing. Even it's way bigger than it is over here now, because of how just dedicated those people are. Like, and they are such great soloists, and so. That's why whenever you're listening to these soundtracks, like it just sounds so natural and open, and doesn't sound like they're just repeating it or anything like that. And then like and then there's another level. There was a music level specifically where like they had 3 sets. They had like a piano, a xylophone, and a vibraphone that you could drift on. And then whenever you would drift on it, it would do the notes and stuff like that. But it would do it in time with the music in the background, and it was just
That's cool.
It is. And then there are ones where like you'll jump on drums, but like no matter where you're at in the game or how far ahead or behind you are, it's always in time with the music. It's just it just blends you so, and it just takes you into it. I think that's gonna be a running thing for me. It's just immersion. For me, with video game soundtracks, like I'm going to be spending hours upon hours upon hours playing these games. Like, not only do I want like at least the characters to be somewhat good or the game mechanics to be good, but if the soundtrack's really shitty, that can really pull me out of a game.
It sounds like you need to play Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yeah, I have no clue what that is.
It's a pixel art dungeon crawler. I believe it's a roguelike, and it's all in like there's a music beat, and so it's like everything about the world is in time with this music, and so like you move and you attack and everything through this music beat, and so like the enemies do too. So it's like if you're like coming up on a big troll and he's just like, you know, hopping there waiting, and then like whenever he goes to attack, it'll be like on the downbeat, so it'll be like hubble hubble hubble, and then so you gotta like dodge out of the way and then go hit him, and like so you gotta like there's a lot of that. So and then there's since you're on Switch, there's the same developer. They tied together. There's a Legend of Zelda game that is, it's like connected to Crypt of the Necrodancer. Like they fuse the two games together. It's kind of like how Mario did the Rabbids, where they have the two things.
Yeah.
This is the same thing, where it's like it's a Link game and Crypt of the Necrodancer put together into like one.
You know what it's called?
Rhythmic. No, I don't know. Something.
I'll have to look it up.
But it's like, yeah, it's
very interesting.
it's a rhythmic adventure game. That's a Legend of Zelda game. You'd probably dig it if that's.
I would probably be all over that, yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's kind of my number 4. I could spend hours talking about that. It makes me want to go play Mario Kart right now.
I forgot you were talking about Mario Kart. I was like, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, Mario Kart.
Yeah. That's just the one because that's the one I put the most hours into recently and over the past couple of years. Like, anytime I get a new Nintendo like console, like when I got my Switch, the first game I got with it was Mario Kart because that's the one that's the first like that's the easiest one to play with friends and stuff like that. Everyone knows how it is. It's not hard to teach someone how to play Mario Kart. It's super easy, and it's still a lot of fun too. But yeah, that soundtrack is it's great. It's incredible. All right, you're up.
All right. So, my number 4 is probably going to be kind of quick just because it's more of an honorable mention. But, so, what was it, like last week, the Final Fantasy VII demo came out. And so when that came out, everyone wouldn't shut up about how great Final Fantasy VII soundtrack is. And I'm a person that, like, I always wanted to play Final Fantasy games, but I could never get into them. I kept picking the wrong ones to try. Like, the first one I tried to play was 4, and I just had no idea what was happening, what was going on, what I was doing. And so a few years ago, I guess it was when they did the port to PS4 of the original Final Fantasy VII, I bought it because it was like $10 or something, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna try to play this. And then I started playing it, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. This sucks. It's hard. And then recently, because of playing that demo, I didn't really like the demo that much. You know, that might be a spicy take right there, but I didn't really like the demo because I like traditional turn-based RPGs more. And so I was like, well, since I didn't like that, I'm going to go back and try to play some more. And so since then, like, every couple of days, I'll put an hour or two into it. And I've actually been getting pretty far.
You're talking about the original one now?
The original 7, yeah. And so that's been pretty good. And, like, the music it's... The reason I'm adding this to the list isn't because it's one of my favorites, but because it's so iconic that as a person that has never played it before, I can recognize the music immediately. Like, when that demo came out and they started playing the music, I was like, that sounds super familiar. Like, I know what that is. I was like, that's either Final Fantasy or that Zelda. I don't know which one. And I said Final Fantasy, and I was like, that's what it is. And so it was just playing through this game, especially because this game, it has no voice lines. You know, there's no, it's all text reading. So the only thing, like, there's sound effects and then there's music. And so having that phenomenal music play to, like, let you know the mood of what's going on and to help kind of, like, push the story along. And then the super iconic winning a fight, the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So, like, that's... A lot of people think of that whenever you're like you finish a fight, and like you hear it 1,000 times because you go through a ton of fights. But
I feel like you would have to, for a game that doesn't have any voice acting, you would have to have a good soundtrack to be able to convey emotion. Because if you're just reading text, especially if like if it was on silent or something like you're like it's really hard. Like it would be up to the animators who animate the characters, the people who come up with the soundtracks and stuff like that, because like otherwise you're not going to get any emotion. How do you get connected to those characters? Like you're never going to know what's a like serious moment or what's more lighthearted, and like it's just, I feel like you would have to have something to really blend well together with it. And then I haven't played Final Fantasy VII either, just because that series is just so damn intimidating. But I've thought about maybe trying out the remake of 7, just because if you haven't played any of them, I'm told that's fine. But I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say like 7's the good jumping on point.
Yeah, 7. So yeah, because each game is its own separate like story and characters, and unless they're connected to each other, like 13, 13-2, and 13 Lightning Returns, like then it's not connected to 12, or and then there's like 10 and 10-2. So it's like there's ones that are sequels of each other, but like 7 isn't. Like you don't need to play 6 to play 7, and you don't need to play 7 to play 8. So that's what and from what I started playing this, 7 is like it's fucking dark. Like it's like, I mean, it's already kind of like dystopian and stuff from the get-go, but like once you start getting into the actual meat of the story, it's like, I don't know, it's got some crazy anime shit that's like on the same level as like Full Metal Alchemist or something like that, where it's like, damn dude, like I wasn't expecting it to go that direction, but it kind of did. So it's been pretty interesting, and I like the turn-based. Learning all the mechanics is kind of difficult, just because it kind of teaches you things, and it kind of just expects you to. It's from an era from my childhood where it doesn't, like, you learn playing games through playing and trial and error, and there wasn't always an arrow to point to where you need to go.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
no, I'll definitely try it out just because.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty decent. And if you don't like it, then it's not like you're a bad person or anything. It's just.
So should I try like the original port, or should I go for the remake?
I would try the original first, just to see if you like it, because it depends. Like, it depends on how you like to do your combat. Because like the combat in the demo was like you pretty much just push one button to do attacks, and that fills up a meter. And then once you have like 2 points on that meter, and once you fill up a point, then you can go into your menu, and from the menu you can do like your spells, which cost mana points, or you can do like one of your bigger attacks or whatnot to do damage. And then you have, like, depending on what character you're playing as, you have different modes. Like Cloud has if you press triangle, then it switches to a different attack mode that does like faster hits to like build up staggering meter. I don't know. So there's a lot of systems going on within that is the same but different. It looks prettier, it looks better. There's voice acting and whatnot. So it depends on how you, like, if you can handle old school. I would go old school just because like I like that style. I like how chibi and shitty it looks sometimes, like the weird Popeye arms that they have, and and like even like whenever it goes into their full CG cutscenes, like they look like toys that are moving around. Like it's weird. It's really weird, but it's really entertaining. But yeah, I just didn't like it. I don't like the new combat because it just felt like I was just mashing one button over and over. And I guess there is a complexity to it, but especially in that demo, it didn't feel like it was that complex.
Are they still doing like super long boss fights now? Because I heard one of the things about 15 was that like I heard like one of the boss fights was like 72 hours or something like that.
Well, I don't know if
it's an optional boss fight. You don't technically have to do it. But
so you know about that?
Yeah, a little bit. It's one of the longest boss fights to do. They came out with a DLC where you can get a weapon and it just basically like one-shots it.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, when you play the demo itself is like, it's the whole opening part. So like if you play the demo, see what you should do, okay, what I would say is play the port first and play through the opening reactor core, because that's the first thing that happens is the whole introduction to the characters. Like you jump off a train, it's like, my name's Barrett, my name's Cloud. And so like play through that, and then go into the and then go play that demo, because the demo is just the first opening part again, like, but it's
done in the new style.
Yeah, and then just see which one feels better, because yeah, there's just parts of it that I was like, I just feel like I'm either holding this button or mashing this button,
Yeah.
and I don't know why I'm filling up a meter to go into a menu to use a spell when a spell also costs the magic points.
So does the game like pause when you go to the menu?
Yeah, it like slows down significantly,
Okay, I was always interested in that.
but it's not like
Because that was the thing about doing so I don't know if you play Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah.
I'm assuming? Yeah. So like whenever you like go into like, you can like slow down time during the battles and stuff like that, or like to, like make everything stop so you can do all your shit. I know.
yeah,
that, like,
it's
that kind of
it's
thing.
not exactly like that, and
Okay.
and that's all from an older system too. Because like
Yeah.
I don't know if you played Dragon Age Origins.
No, I have. I want to though. Just
But that one was much more like the classic style of like you freeze time and then you go to each of your party members and you tell them like this is the thing I want you to do. And so you like target somebody, and it wasn't until later on when they added like the combination effects of things, but like in Dragon Age 2, but it'd be like, all right, Morgan, I want you to shoot an ice spell at this guy, and then I'm going to have my DPS go over and smash him with a hammer.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I'm going to have this person heal. Like, so you could do all that at the same time. In this, it's more like you can take control of the other people, but like when it freezes time, like you have to keep an eye. And I think that the complexity comes into where you have to keep an eye on what everybody's doing, all the AI.
Yeah.
Because like in the other games, like any other RPG, you're in control of the party.
Yeah.
So you already know what's going on. But in this, you're taking control of one person at a time. So you have to keep an eye on everybody's ATB gauge, which is the being able to use their menus, how many magic points they have, how many health points they have, and then they're like fighting and doing stuff while you're doing stuff without like you telling them. I don't know. It's just it seems like too much, but also not enough. Like it's like I don't want to push one button
Yeah.
over and over to do an attack.
It's like I have to follow all of these characters separately, and that seems like really clunky. But at the same time, like when I'm playing as one character, I don't have enough to do to where I feel like I'm like in the battle.
Yeah, and in the original game too. So the way that the rotation on attacks work, because it's turn based, is there's a meter that fills up. That's kind of like, if you're thinking in D&D terms, it's like your dexterity / like your initiative roll kind of thing.
So it would be you would have to like that would depend on who would go first on attacks and stuff.
But it's like, they're all going at the same time, so like you have to wait till your meter fills before like Cloud's meter fills before you can tell Cloud to either attack, cast a spell, or block or whatever. And then that falls into how you attack. So like there's this one boss that when it goes into this defense mode, if you attack it, it'll counter strike and do massive damage. So when it's your time to attack and stuff, you either want to go for block or something else, or like, make sure not to attack. Like that's the good time to like start healing each other and everything using items, because if you attack, then you'll do damage to yourself more than you will to it. So it's this really cool, like you can see like, okay, this guy's about to come up, and then like right at that time it's like, oh, I'm gonna go into defensive mode now. It's like, okay, well I was about to do a super attack, but instead I'm gonna do this. So I don't know, there's a little bit more planning, and I like it better.
But
long story short, what were we talking about? I mean, it was still on topic, just not about music. I just don't know a lot about the music, but I know it's iconic. I know that if I didn't say Final Fantasy as a person that's trying to play it right now, that people would be like, you need to say Final Fantasy.
Okay, Tyler, what's your number 4?
My number 4 also corresponds with its number in the series, which is Grand Theft Auto 4.
Oh.
Yeah. So 2 aspects of the soundtrack that I really, really love is like the title loading screen, where you see the various drawn and painted scenes of like Nico in various states where he's like stealing a car or someone in the city or in a gun battle. I fucking love it, and like it's so dark and dreary and kind of reflective of the times of when the game was released, because the game came out in like 2008 or something like that.
I think it was earlier than that.
It might have been, but like it was just really dark, and it just kind of set you up for what you're going to kind of expect within the city, because the city had this kind of almost either green or sepia filter over it pretty much the entire time you played it. But like it just really sets you up for it, and I fucking love it. It's so, oh my god. But the other aspect of the soundtrack that I really love is when you're in a car and you're listening to the radio. What they did for the game is that they actually had real life, like, renowned DJs from around the US come in and record voice lines to, like, introduce songs or comments on what was going on in the world. And it's super cool that they did that. They made the world feel alive through the use of radio, which is on almost every time you get in a car, and the only way you don't hear it is if you turn the music in the game down.
Yeah. I would say one of the things that GTA is known for, especially the last couple of games, is GTA has always been a satire of the world that it's in. And because of that, they decided, so they would, because I'm speaking more from 5 than 4, because I played a lot more 5, but like,
Same.
They had a lot of like actual songs like from like now, and they would have all those stations set up, but then like you would do like the radio shows, and the radio shows would just be really like over the top satirical versions of the kind of talk show radio shows that we have now. Like I remember the one where they interviewed the cultists or whatever, because like I like listening to the radio shows more than the music half the time, just because they were so damn funny. But that being said, like even then, like listening to the radio sound, like just like being able to listen to the radio while you're driving around, it just going back to that immersive factor, it just felt like you were just driving down in the city and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Side note, so my sister, God bless her, whenever she would, like, I got her into GTA 5, she didn't like doing the killing or the explosions or, like, doing all the crazy, like, out of the, like, this, like complete, like, over-the-top shit you can do. Like, she liked driving cars but following road laws. So, like, I would just watch her, like, slowly drive through the city, and she'd sit through, like, the traffic stops. She would do all the turns and stuff like that, super... And this is around the time that she was trying to learn to get her her license, too, so she thought it was helping her, which... There's no way it was, but it was it was just one of those things where it was just, you know, because those games you can just do whatever, and I think that little bit that they did to just make it just feel like more like real life, or as close to real life as you can get with those games, really worked out.
They don't have turn signals, so breaks the immersion.
Yeah.
Well, any songs or DJs in particular?
I remember one of the DJs, I can't remember his specific name, but I remember that he was really popular in the mid-2000s, but I can't think of his name right now. So
They also had similar, I mean, they pretty much ripped it from GTA, but Saints Row has some pretty similar like radio hosts and play, like their radio stations are all real songs. Like well, one of the radio stations that I remember the most from GTA 5 was Flying Lotus had his own radio station on there, which was pretty dope. And then I want to say Saints Row the third one had it had some kind of like dubstep one that I was really into at the time.
Yep.
Because that was like when dubstep was getting really big over here, and there's like a whole gang that was related to dubstep. Like everything was like neon. Was that the one with the dubstep gun, or is that the next game?
the next game had a dubstep gun, the Redux.
Oh my god.
That's pretty good picks. I mean, another thing. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas introduced me to Guns N' Roses, because their commercials on TV at the time was the "Welcome to the Jungle."
That's funny.
Welcome to the jungle, and then it had CJ walking around blowing up cars and stuff. And...
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's my number 4.
GTA 4.
Interesting, nice little matchup. So my number 3 is gonna be it's gonna be a very recent game. It came out only a couple years ago. Not even that, I don't think.
Call of Duty Warzone.
No, it's PS4 Spider-Man.
Oh,
Insomniac
yes.
Games, man.
Yes.
That soundtrack it feels like you're right in a Marvel movie. And then the same thing that I was talking about earlier with the last one, like with Mario Kart, as you would move through like the levels or stuff like that, the music would move with you. Like that game does it too. Like whether like you're swinging around or you're just diving off of tall buildings and stuff like that, like it would just, the music would react to what you were doing in the game. If you were walking around, like not even swinging, you would just do this kind of little light beat stuff. he started swinging, the music would swell. And then I remember, because the game, every time you load back in, you start at the top of a building, like perched up, and so then you can do that initial jump, and then the music just does this huge swell as you go down, and it's so much fun to do every single time. And going back to that immersion factor, like it just felt so much fun to be swinging around. And like that was like all I would do half the time, would just explore New York, do all the little random like side missions, and then the music would just kind of push you in through that. And then another side thing is too, is because they this game was like its own thing, but it was kind of like sort of set in like the like MCU Avengers universe, in the sense of like it was kind of like they had the Avengers Tower, and it was modeled after that one for the most part. And then the thing that I always loved is that anytime you would run up the Avengers Tower, it would do the Avengers theme from the movie, but they would mix it in with the Spider-Man theme. So cool. But yeah.
I don't remember. I mean, I've done that, but I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I do remember though that I actually found this out on that podcast you remembered. You recommended to us.
Which one?
Digigame
Digigame Apocalypse.
Yeah, they were doing their top 10 games of 2019, I believe, and they were talking about Spider-Man, and they actually commented on the actor for Spider-Man recorded his voice lines in two ways. He recorded it in normal voice, like you'd just be walking down the street, and then he also recorded it like if he was out of breath, like if he was in a fight, or he was running or swinging through the air or something like that.
Yeah, and then the way if you're swinging and he's like talking on the phone out of breath, and then you land, then he like goes into normal, and it's just really like it almost mid sentence, like it's really nice. Yeah, dude, a lot of love and care was put into that game, and it's very much appreciated.
It's a very, very good game. I love it.
I spent so many hours on it. I didn't like the DLCs as much though, but
I definitely think
it was kind of a bummer, because the thing about that game is that
I tend to save games like that for when I'm on breaks and stuff, just because I don't like diving into games through school, because I really don't want to just get sucked in and stay up late. Like, I really try to avoid that. So I got on that game a couple months late, and then I binged through it in like 3 days. And after that, I was so like clamoring for more that I bought both the DLCs like immediately, and it was kind of disappointing. But
I pretty much did the same. I bought the game. I waited a long time though. I probably waited a year before I bought it, because I take a long time to buy games. And then as soon as I beat it, I immediately went and bought the whole DLC pack. And I wasn't disappointed so much. What bothers me is the enemies that I didn't like in the game were the Silver Sables, PMC.
Yep.
I don't like those enemies at all. Like, they just, every time I went against them, like, I would avoid them like the plague. Like, I did the ones I had to get trophies, and then like any other ones, I would just like, it'd be like, go attack this. I'd be like, nope.
Because you would have to do those compounds where they send you 5 levels. Because the thing about those enemies is they were introduced in the DLCs, but the problem is, at that point, you played so much of this game and you were in such a rhythm with the game that those enemies completely throw off the rhythm of your fighting combat. So you had to completely like change how you were playing the game, but it was so late into it, and I hated it.
Yeah, and it was just like, it took like, so since those guys were so armored, like some of them took multiple of like the big heavy attacks to actually bring them down.
Yep.
And so like trying to keep your meter, like it felt more like uphill. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Like, you know, there's probably people out there who don't have any issues, but
yeah,
it was like I could go through the game and feel flawless until I got to those guys, and then it would just be like, you'd be in the middle of like some combos, and then you just get hit from out of nowhere, and you're like, I just dropped that whole combo, and I really needed that to like take out this particular person. Like, I tried to do every single one of those stealth, because it was so much easier to stealth them than anything else.
Playing stealth in that game was my favorite thing to do. Like that was so much fun. And going back to the whole little soundtrack thing, whenever you do like this, like the longer you would stay in stealth, the more like the stealthy type like spy music would go around and do that. So I always thought it was fun, like just going in and grabbing a motherfucker and like hanging him on the wall. Love that. I would spend like forever just trying to do that as much as possible, because then you would get like a huge boost going into the second wave if you were able to do the entire first wave.
Yeah.
And get them all. But yeah, no, that game was definitely, I don't know. The Black Cat DLC wasn't bad, because I never got into the Silver Sable. That it started getting weird, because then they did like the whole crime boss thing with it too. And
It was cool for me too, just because out of nostalgia, like the first Spider-Man game I ever played was Spider-Man on N64, and like I was never like I like superheroes and like I love Spider-Man, but like I never really read the comics. Like that's just not a thing. Like I mean I read some comics, but I just superhero comics aren't something that I'm into.
Just because they're super hard to get into.
Yeah, there's just so many of them, and it's like when I go for comics, especially superhero ones, I go for the small runs. Like I really like Venom Space Knight because there's literally 2 trades and that's it because they canceled the. So it's like that's it. That's all of them, and it's like oh I can read all of that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like X-Men, there's like 500. You know.
Runs, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I don't want to go through all that, but
Yeah, comic books are so muddled now and stuff like that. And it's like sometimes whenever they do like their big like restarts and reset buttons, like they still try to keep ties to like old stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know how to keep track of this.
This one was cool bringing Black Cat into it because Black Cat was one of the first characters you meet in the N64 game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I watched the cartoon and stuff when I was a kid, but I don't remember Black Cat. So when I was playing the game and this white-haired cat lady comes out and she's like, "Hey Spider, what are you doing?" And it's like, "We should hang out more." And she's like being all flirty and I was like, "Who the fuck is this? What are you doing? He's married to Mary Jane. You leave him." Because I'm pretty sure they're married in that game, but
No, they were broken up.
in N64.
Oh, not N64. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the new one.
No, I'm talking about N64.
Not
Yeah,
bad.
because like, and that's back whenever everybody's hands were just blocks and they all had just like one face that didn't move. So like seeing Black Cat and like, you know, the Uncanny Valley super realistic way, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like finally we get to see what it actually looks like and not just
Pixel.
Yeah.
It wasn't pixels, it was polygons, but it was just straight up
Yeah.
ugly polys.
Man.
Was that the game where all of like the enemies were just went
Yeah.
I played that one. I remember that. Where you had to like take the bomb into like
In the safe.
yeah.
In the bank.
Yeah, I definitely remember that now.
Yep.
First Spider-Man game I played was Shattered Dimensions.
Wow.
It was,
Oof.
yeah. No, it was
No, it's not bad.
It was interesting. It was a nice fun take. I think it'd be fun if they did that now. But and then the other thing about this new Spider-Man game though is that they gave us this Peter Parker that has been doing it for a while, like, and because of that they got to throw all these little Easter eggs in and stuff like that, which was super cool. Especially like when you collected the backpacks, because that was one of the games where I like tried to get as many of like the side quests done as possible because I wanted to, because the suits were so cool, and the way they did the suit mechanics in that game was where you could collect the suit because you had to get new suits to get new power-ups, but then you could apply those power-ups to any suit you wanted. Like that was so dope. But so because of that I ended up collecting a lot of the backpacks to get it, and they were little like Easter eggs like, oh, I used this when I fought the Rhino or something like that, and it was just really fun. And then the way they did the whole Doc Ock storyline was so cool because like as fans we knew what was coming, and it still hurt all the same when he finally like betrayed Peter Parker and all that stuff, and then that final fight and freaking do that. Oh, man, it was good. I loved it.
It was good.
So
A plus.
10 out of 10 game. 10 out of 10 would play again.
With rice.
Your turn, sir.
So what are we on? Number 3?
Yes, sir.
Which one should I do now? I will go with... Okay, this one's kind of left field for sure. The Scott Pilgrim game.
Really? Okay.
You guys ever play that?
I didn't play it,
I
but
haven't
I've heard the
played it.
soundtrack a little bit.
The soundtrack is amazing. And the game is really, really good too. So back during my first run at college is when the Scott Pilgrim movie came out. And I didn't really know that it was like a comic before.
Same.
But the movie was directed by Edgar Wright, which is one of my top 5 favorite directors. Dude is dope.
Mm-hmm.
And so the movie was really funny. It had a lot of thematic elements, and like the tone really fit into where I was feeling at the time, like in my life. And so I immediately, when the game came out, bought the game because the art style is from the comics, but it uses a lot of what happened in the movie as like the basis. Like it doesn't like follow the books as much as it follows the movie. But the soundtrack is all an original soundtrack by I'm gonna probably butcher this name. Automataguchi. Is that the? Okay, I'll look it up just in case. But it's this what do you call that style of music? It's like the bit tune style of music.
8-bit?
Yeah, I mean it's more than 8-bit because I'm pretty sure like the game itself is either, I think it's either 32 or maybe 64-bit because it's, but Gucci. I'm just gonna sound that out. Anamanaguchi. Yep. And so they are a American band in New York, and they do bit pop, chiptune music.
Chiptune.
That's the music, and it's fucking phenomenal. Like the music, it's the main menu music, and especially from the first stage because I play the first stage a lot. But that music was so like I can still hear it sometimes when I'm in the shower. Not right now because it's one of those things right now where it's like I'm trying to remember, but I can't remember because I'm trying hard to remember.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just it's a brawler, which they don't make those kinds of games anymore. Side-scrolling brawler, and it's just a lot of fun. And the music's really really good, and it's just like it's a really good soundtrack. Like the CD itself is on the soundtrack itself is on Spotify.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend if you ever have to like study or do something else and you have to like you want to listen to music but you don't want like lyrics or anything to like get in the way of your mind thoughts, check out Scott Pilgrim because it's really good.
I'll
So
definitely
I'll just
check
say,
that
see, I'm assuming you're a huge fan of the movie, and I like the movie, but I'm gonna tell you, I hate Michael Cera.
Why?
I think he's really unfunny and he's really annoying to me. And
I can see that.
Anytime I watch that movie, like it's really hard for me because I do like the movie and I really appreciate it. I think it's really well done, but I just don't like Michael Cera.
I think that's on purpose. Like I think that's not him. That's the character. Like whenever
No, I'm
he
not talking
started
about the movie.
acting.
I'm talking about like in any single movie.
I know. I'm saying in general because he plays a lot of the same characters like throughout his movies. But I don't think that's really him.
Nerd.
Yeah, it's kind of it's that whole little subset of comedians right there.
Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen.
They all kind of play the same characters, and like if you go back and watch like the first, I believe the first thing he was in was Arrested Development. He was in there like at a super young age.
Yeah.
And so like you can see like it's not him like trying to be like a weird little dick dude. That's just like the character that he plays, and then like
Superbad.
and then Superbad like jumped it up, and then the funniest thing is, and this is the end when he's playing like they're playing himself and
Yeah, and he gets impaled by the thing.
yeah, well he's
does
there's so much to it because he's doing all these drugs, and then like there's a part where he like slaps Rihanna's ass and she like smacks him. And then there's like another part where like a chick is blowing him while another chick is eating out his asshole and he's just drinking a juice box. And like in the bathroom, and a guy comes in and he's like, "Oh, shit." He's like, "You want some juice?" And it's just, I don't know. It's really funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I just ever since I saw him in Superbad, I just couldn't. And then that movie too, I just couldn't.
Man, I don't know. Like I think that's one of the best movies he's been in. Like,
Well, the movies are great. I just don't like Michael Cera. Like I just can't.
I can't see anybody else to have played that character. Like,
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the voice. Maybe it's just the way he does it. I don't know. There's just something about it that just checks all the wrong boxes for me, man. I don't know. Because my friends always shit on me for that. Like anytime I bring it up, they get super pissed because they love those movies. And I'm not saying I don't love those movies. I can watch those movies. Superbad's a really funny movie. But I just don't like Michael Cera.
I mean, I don't know if I like him as a person, but I just don't know him as a person. Like, there's not really a whole lot of like media about him outside of his movies, and so maybe it's kind of like a Danny McBride thing, where like I wasn't a big fan of Danny McBride until I watched Eastbound and Down, and then I was like, oh, I get it. Like, I get that. I get the character now. I get the character that he's always playing. This isn't him.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, I don't know. There's just something about it where like they play it so well that.
They get constantly typecast.
Yeah. Or maybe that's just like what they wanted to do, because like one of Danny McBride's first movies was The Foot Fist Way, and it's like real proto super bad like style and timing, and and you don't really realize who he is as an actor until like much later in his career, and you're like, oh, I can see the DNA of where they're at and why I like them.
That's fair.
But yeah, I don't blame you for not liking Michael Cera.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just always been one of those things where I've tried to watch other movies he's been in. I'm just just a turn off for me, but
the game's dope.
Yeah.
Play the game. Well, you don't have to play the game. Just listen to the music at least. Game's fun though. I feel like brawlers.
Alrighty. So my number 3 is gonna be Dark Souls, the first one.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, that whole game is just iconic for various reasons. I mean, the boss fights, the fucking difficulty level, and just how unique it was when it came out, because it was kind of like a sub commentary on a lot of games back then, because a lot of games would just hold your hand and be like, oh, if you want to beat this boss, you can lower the difficulty. Not with fucking Dark Souls.
Yeah, instead you can just cheese them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can just hug their ass, basically.
Oh, there's okay, so the funniest thing about Dark Souls is I started playing that game well after I played Bloodborne, so like I knew like how difficult it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't know was, because that was one, it came after Demon Souls, but the first Dark Souls, like, there's 3 types of bosses. There's the boss that you actually have to fight, and it can be kind of difficult. There's the boss that has a gimmick to it, and once you learn the gimmick, the boss is super easy. And then there's the boss that you can literally cheese without having to do anything. And
Capra Demon.
Capra Demon, from the DLC, the big bad one at the end, you can literally just shoot him, like, you can just stand on this ridge, not even go into the fog cloud, and just shoot him in the face with arrows until he's dead. Yeah, man, there's so many bosses and then, and I would also say the cheese would also fall into picking, like, having, like, doing a summon and having the AI beat them for you, because there are at least 2 bosses that you can summon, and the summon will do all the work. Pinwheel, you summon the cleric dude that has like a holy weapon, and that just does like 3 hits. It'll kill the boss, and you didn't even do it. Like, you just stand in the corner and block. And then what's her tits? The spider lady.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, you summon the butcher lady, and she'll just go in there and do the work
The
for
sackhead.
you. Yeah. And she'll just go in there and just like wreck shit for you, and then you're like, okay, thanks for the gamer score and the blood points. What are they called in that game? The souls. That's what they're called, because they're Dark Souls. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, like,
I
even
digress.
no, you're good. But like, the game itself doesn't really have too much of a soundtrack, especially when you're just walking around and fighting just normal enemies. But like, when you walk into a place like Firelink Shrine, the music is super duper iconic, and just like, it's relaxing. And Nakey Jakey did a really, really good video over Dark Souls, and like how he just got super invested into it at one point. And like I had heard the music before I started playing it, and I played the game with my dad, and like he said, Nakey Jakey, I mean, like, once you hear the music, you're like, oh shit, this is where I am. This is like Firelink Shrine. This is Dark Souls. It's so fucking cool.
yeah. I've always been really, really bad at those games. Not gonna
I
lie.
have too. I'm fucking trash at them.
I didn't know anything about them until 2 came out.
2 is the worst.
My
one, in
friends
opinion.
kept trying to get me to play it. I didn't understand what the game was. I was terrible at the mechanics. I hated every second of it. I think it's just because I never understood those game mechanics and how, like, the fighting style and like the parrying and blocking and all that. I was just bad at that.
It's a steep learning curve.
So, okay.
And then the other thing too, but I'll let you finish.
No, you're
this,
good.
But the thing I don't like about Dark Souls is that, to me, there's like no story there.
There's a story, you just have to read into it a lot. And you have to find the lore.
But like, I don't like that. I really like. It's nice and it's cool, but it's just like, for me, it's like, if I'm going to push through, like, and play this hard ass game, I just want there to be a little bit more of a story to it. You know what I mean?
Like a compelling, visible story.
Like, Sekiro is a really good example of that. The
Yeah.
story for Sekiro was great. It's a whole lot easier for me to get invested in those characters in that game and put time into it.
Man, you found that game easier than Dark Souls?
No, it's not easier than
Oh,
Dark
I was
Souls.
about to
I'm not
say that
talking-
one seems way. I haven't got to play it yet, but it
No,
seems
it's
way
not.
harder.
It's
It
harder.
is harder, but I'm talking about. But I'm more willing to put time to learn how to play that game because the story is interesting.
So, all right. So what I'm gonna say is, if you haven't been able to complete one yet, start with Bloodborne, because Bloodborne is one of the. That's where I started, and it has one of the. I wouldn't say easier learning curves, but there's fewer weapons, so that means that there's the builds. There are fewer builds that you actually have to like try to figure stuff out with. But what helped me get through it is in Bloodborne, getting through the first boss. Like once that happened, I was dead. Like I was completely hooked, right? And because what you have to look at is, you know, everyone's always worried about like the enemies killing you and whatnot. And the thing is that the game is all about learning from your mistakes and becoming or mastering each section. And so knowing where enemies are, like, so the first time you go through an area, if a guy jumps out at you and kills you, like you're gonna say, all right, that guy's gonna be there and he's gonna jump out and kill me. So you have to put behind you this whole mentality of like going through without dying, without getting hurt or anything. Like you have to, especially from the get-go, like we have such a new age games have babied us to the point now where it's like if we die or do anything that's considered like, you know, wrong, and risky, that we're failures. It's failed. But this is just like, no man, you died. Just pick up and keep going.
Well, I like how you say it doesn't, but like the Dark Souls games are like, you died.
Yeah,
Like,
but
they really push you. Like it's like they push your face into the dirt when you're.
No, it's
dying.
just saying you died. Like it's not like Resident Evil where it has like a whole little cinematic of like a chainsaw dude cutting your head off or
Or, like,
something.
the Batman games
Or even
too.
like Batman games.
Yeah,
where
Batman games are even
Joker
worse.
fucking
So
made fun of
they
you.
Would, they would like taunt you like, ha, can't wait for you to come back here again, Batman.
Or it's like the Killer Croc section where it's like you do one little thing wrong and it's just like Killer Croc kills you and it's like haha and he like teabags your face and it's like, don't you fucking suck, and then you do that 1,000 times and you're like, literally,
You want to talk
this
about
is a mechanic, not my, like this isn't me. There's a problem with your game. Why am I having trouble with this platform?
So if it was that game, Arkham Origins was the worst by that, because Arkham Origins.
Oh
like,
shit, yeah.
You had to push through all of the different like villains and stuff like that, and it was.
Fuck that game. But so the first step to enjoying the dark, like any Soulsborne game, is to take deaths not as a demerit to your skill, but as a learning point. And two is most of them, especially Bloodborne, every section has so many shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think of it as getting to the boss.
Yeah.
Every like this, there was a point in time where I was trying to start a podcast that was going to be a audio guide to Bloodborne, and so it was called Lantern by Lantern, and it was going to be like every episode was going to be going from one lantern to another, and I was like, man, that's going to be kind of hard. So instead, I was breaking it down into the shortcuts, because the shortcuts usually take you back to your lantern.
Mm-hmm.
So figure out, like, when you get to your first lantern, especially in Bloodborne, you know, there's a cage door to your left, and then there's a pathway to your right. So you can't go left because there's a cage door there, so you're going to go right. So your first thought process shouldn't be, I'm trying to get to the boss. Your first thought process should be, I need to open that door. And so from there, you just move, and I wouldn't even focus on bosses until you've opened up the entire shortcuts of the section, because that's going to get you to the bosses faster. That's going to get you to the items you need to pick up. In the process, you are going to learn where all the enemies are. You're going to know which ones are the best ones to run to go get, like the
XP.
the XP runs that you need to do. So going through that one step at a time. And then after that, then you can start going for bosses, and then you need to identify, is this a side boss or is this a main boss? Because a side boss, you don't have to do them. You can save them for a little bit later when you're a little bit more leveled up, and you can just go take on the boss that takes you to the next area. So
Yeah.
that's I was one of those people when I first started playing that, like, because I got tricked into Dark Souls. On my Xbox 360, there was a sale one time, and it was like, you like playing Elder Scrolls Oblivion, you will like Dark Souls, and it was like $6, right? So I was like, okay, $6, I'll buy that. I buy it, I load it up, and it looks like Oblivion. Like, the graphics are shitty, the faces look dumb, and I'm like, this looks like Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Good job, Xbox. I somehow managed to get through the training section and finally get to Firelink Shrine, and I get stuck, like, on the first couple of skeletons. Like, and I was just what in
fuck
the
those
fuck?
skeletons.
Because you got to go up that staircase,
Yep.
and there's a asshole up there that keeps kicking you down.
Yep.
And I was just like, what in the fuck? And it wasn't until 6 years later, after I beat Bloodborne, that I was like, okay, I'll try to play Dark Souls again. Cake. Went through it so smooth.
Interesting.
Especially once you learn all the cheeses for that game. But that's, again, that's...
I would say, because I don't know how much you would count this, but the first time I ever played a game really, I played a little bit of Sekiro, or Sekiro, whatever you want to say. But I never really got too far into that, but I was more, like, invested in that game and still wanting to try it. The first game I really pushed all the way through would be Jedi Fallen Order. And stuff like that, just because it had the same mechanics, but it was back to those things where, like, I really, really like the story of it, so I was willing to push through.
That one's weird. I don't count that one. Like, a lot of people are like, this is like like Dark Souls.
It's not like Souls. It's an introduction to Souls-like games. So it's like,
yeah, but I think it's the wrong way though, because like the enemies in that game, the enemies are all dumb and they're all pretty easy. It's mostly just a hack and slash, and then the bosses
are stupid hard.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's got the Sekiro like parry system.
Yeah, it's the parry system.
And I was like, I don't like this. Like, I like the health system from Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Like, that's why I think Bloodborne's the best, because the mechanics are super easy, and also like it promotes, like, unlike like Dark Souls promotes defensive playstyle, Bloodborne is all about the offensive playstyle. Mm-hmm. If you get injured, it shows like your red health bar goes orange, that amount of damage, and if you start attacking, you'll gain that health back. So, and the parry system is a little bit easier, because instead of relying on shields, it's relying on that pistol or the gun that you pick. You should pick the pistol because the blunderbuss blows.
Agreed.
Bbut so it's just the whole mechanics, and then you learn, like, okay, I need to do the visceral, so I need to parry them and then visceral them, and then. And not having like the rings or most of the armor, like the armor doesn't even fucking matter in Bloodborne. I mean, it kind of does because it boosts some things, but you just switch it around when you need it. It's like, I'm about to go through a poison swamp, better put on my gear that has better poison resistance. In Dark Souls, it's like you need to have like
the highest defense rating possible.
Yeah, depending on your build, it's like you need to have, like, if you are running a certain build, you need to have this armor, this ring, this weapon. Bloodborne is not that. Bloodborne is, your build is all about just like, do you want to do blood magic, regular magic, or do you want to just poke things to death? And I don't know, it's so much simpler and a way better way to learn.
Yeah.
And it's a better story. I mean, like, and the story itself, like, I think it's a little bit more clear than Dark Souls, because half the time in Dark Souls I was like, what am I doing again? Oh, right, I forgot. I've been trying to ring a bell or 2 bells for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Like, because you talked to that one guy once. But with Bloodborne, it literally just starts off with, go hunt beasts. And it's like, oh, that's it? Like, all I gotta do is go hunt stuff? Okay. I'll just walk around and kill beasts. I'll do that. And then it's like, hey, go do this. And it's like, oh, that way? I'll go do that now. And it just kind of like, it points you in the directions it wants to go. So, Bloodborne, man. If you can't do the Dark Souls, the Bloodborne's.
Bloodborne also has a pretty good soundtrack, too.
Amazing. Those boss sound. I was kind of thinking about putting Bloodborne on my list. I'm glad you put Dark Souls, so
you could talk about it.
Yeah, because it's all those songs are so. I don't know. They're just so.
They both carry emotion. They don't.
Yeah. It's like they all have this like grandeur, but then they're also like really like melancholy, where it's like they're just so like, you know that they're not wanting to fight you because they're a big beastie, and it's like just kind of like their nature. And
it echoes was it Shadow of the Colossus in that sense too.
Yeah, where you turn out to be the villain.
Yeah, I've been replaying, because Shadow of the Colossus is the free to play PS Plus game this week or this month, so I've been replaying that.
I gotta download that. Thanks for reminding me of that.
No problem.
Completely forgot to do that.
The only thing that bugs me about that is that it's all the same song. It's always the same song,
Yeah.
and like that kind of wears me down because it's at least like in Bloodborne and Dark Souls, like they have each boss has their own theme. And if you get a chance, you should play through Demon Souls because it is crazy. Like it's like on a different level than Dark Souls, but like it has some technical issues where it's really easy to dupe items, so you can power level the shit out of yourself.
That's funny.
So that's pretty fun. And different way to do. Like it's actually got levels like worlds. It's like world 3-2, like 3-2, and it's weird.
Anyways, that was my number 3. What's your
Down
number
to
2,
my
Ben?
2. So I'm gonna do the same thing you did with 4. I want to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, alright.
Didn't plan out for that, but I was
Hell
like,
yeah.
you did that, so I'm gonna do that. Because I was really gonna talk about it as my number 1, but fuck it. Yeah, well, this one shouldn't come as a shock. I've mentioned it in a couple other podcasts before. I love the soundtrack to that game. Like, the spaghetti western aspect of it is so good. Especially, like, even from the start of that game. Like, I remember when you're up in the mountains, and you first, like, start off, and, like, you start off in the cold blizzard, you're trying to find shelter, and it's just doing doom, 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 and then, like, that, and then the first time when they send you off to go find John Marston, and you're fighting off the coyotes, and it goes, and it just builds up, and you're just like, holy shit, I'm watching like a John Wayne movie right now.
Ugh.
Did you say ugh?
Yeah, fuck John Wayne.
Okay, I feel like that's a conversation for another podcast. That. But moving on from that,
I prefer
just
Clint
like,
Eastwood
okay,
personally.
whatever. Just like old westerns, you all know what I was talking about.
Yes.
Just like you're watching those old style movies, and it just, I don't know. And then whenever you like get to more like free roam and stuff like that, you're just riding around on your horse, and it's just that idle, like peaceful, like music where you're just kind of out on the plains and stuff like that. And then the game coincided with like how like good that game looked too, and like the photogenic aspect of it. It's just like, yeah, and then like, when you, like especially because in that game, like you had to do a lot of traveling. Like you would just put it on like the is it panoramic mode or like
I hated that, honestly. Like I was not a big fan of it.
I didn't mind that, especially because if you had to go because I would start hunting like down all like the good like horses and like do all the hunting missions, and they would like send you across the map, and so I would just put it on that. You'd listen to the soundtrack, like you didn't have to be as like you could let the game kind of idle a little bit, and it was really nice fun to watch and stuff like that. And then also once you kind of progress in the story of that game, depending on if you went the good route or the bad route, like the game would like make the music reflect that, especially when you did like the character things with what's the character's name? I'm blanking on his name. The main character's name. Arthur Morgan. Yes, I was thinking of Dutch for some reason, just because Arthur says Dutch so much time.
You've lost your way, Dutch.
I have a plan, Arthur. But the more you would do that with him, like you would just get like it would be like this sad reflection of him trying to come to terms with the shit he's done after he finds out he has tuberculosis. So it's, and then when you finally get to the spoiler part where he dies, depending on how you've been playing the game, you get different versions of the song is it Unshaken?
Unshaken,
yeah.
Yes.
And like you'll get different versions of that different times you play, and it just so like it's just like it's such a movie-esque game because of that, and I really enjoyed that.
I played that game definitely the high honor route because there's no benefit to being evil, honestly. Because I mean, in the first Red Dead Redemption, in the first Red Dead Redemption, if you did too many dastardly deeds, people would run away from you immediately as you entered a town. So that's why I didn't do the low honor route. Plus, I mean, like, you always have a bounty after you. And the bounty system in Red Dead Redemption 2 is so much more intense.
Yeah, because
I love it and I hate it at the same time.
It stacks up so quickly. Like, so, side note, my roommate at the time, he didn't realize that bounties stacked up on top of each other. He didn't realize when you started killing, like, it didn't, like, occur to him. And so he would just, like, the first part of the game, when you have no money, he just started like going on murdering sprees, and he did that for hours, and it got to the point to where he was having marshals going after him in every single county he went into, and he had no way to pay off his bounty, so he had to restart the game pretty much or like go back to
God.
like he.
That would be such a slog.
It was like 6-7 hours worth of that, and he had to go back track 6 or 7 hours because he couldn't get through the game anywhere. It was like whenever you would enter New Mexico or whatever, or
Mhm.
Mexico, the Blackwater. Whenever you would try to go to Blackwater before the game lets you, and those marshals would chase you out, that was like that everywhere in the game for him, no matter where he went. So he couldn't do anything. So it was so funny to watch because he tried, but the problem was when you kill marshals, the bounty just goes up. So
Yeah.
you're just digging a bigger grave for yourself. God, it was really funny. But yeah, no, the high honor, I always want the high honor round too, just because it's more fun to play games like characters like that. But I did go through when I was playing through it a different time. I did play like the low honor round just to kind of get those different scenes and stuff like that, and because I think it was like, if you play at the high honor round when they did those like introspective things where you were seeing like, you would either see like a deer and like
Mhm.
blue flashing lights, or you would see like a fox and red flashing lights and stuff like that, and I kind of want to see that. But I tend to play games like the high honor round. That's just the route I go, just because I find it's more fun to play those characters than the characters who are just fucking killing everybody all the time.
Man, the D'Angelo Unshaken song when you do the high honor route is so fun. It's emotional.
It is
Like, I was like, holy shit.
Because he sits there on that rock, and like he sits there looking out into the sunset, and you see the breath go out of him, and then it just goes to the vocals coming really loud when he's singing "I Stand Unshaken," and there's like no music, and it's just that, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It was freaking. Somehow they made that ending as good, if not better, than the Red Dead, and that's. I mean, you can bet on that all you want, because the ending of the first Red Dead game was just really
Intense.
punches you in the gut. But that game, man, oof, love it. Just gives me chills. Did you ever play through Red Dead 2?
Nope. I played like halfway through the first one, and I played a few hours of Undead Nightmare.
No, the soundtracks kind of go hand in hand for those games. So
Agreed.
I always thought that. I mean, it's another little tangent, but Undead Nightmare is one of the coolest zombie video
I
games.
agree
Yep.
so
Because
much.
I've never seen another zombie game with real-time infection,
yep.
and that was the coolest thing. Like having a horde attack a town. Like I just remember like being in the middle of a town and then a horde coming in, and then like a lady was like trying to run inside, and a zombie like tackled her and started biting her, and then he got up, and then she got up, and she turned into a zombie, and they both started coming after me, and I was just like, what the fuck?
I didn't like. Well, if I remember right, weren't like side characters susceptible to that?
Yes, after a while.
Like I thought just like
The only one who really wasn't was Seth, but that was also because, like,
He fucks dead people
yes.
with his penis.
Alright.
friend. Well, it's true.
All right.
I thought that was cool. Is that like all the side characters can get infected at any point, and like right after you talk to them, they can get attacked if you don't help them and stuff like that. Yeah, that game was really.
Isn't that how it starts? Is like your wife and son or?
Yep, because that's the whole point. Is, John's trying to find a cure for his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Undead Nightmare DLC takes place like after you've helped out everybody, but before the marshals come to kill you at the end of the
The
game.
theory is that that's John Marston's hell.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I can see that. Because it doesn't become like this weird like zombie.
Yeah, after you beat Undead Nightmare and you finish the main quest line, you are buried and then you come back as zombie John Marston. And as long as you don't get too close to the hordes, you can blend in with them for a time, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Plus, zombie John Marston looks badass.
That, and I remember I didn't do this, but my sister, like, she loved zombie stuff, so like she just like that was like the perfect game and came at the perfect time for her when she wasn't having a lot going on. And I remember watching her play to get all of the horses of the apocalypse, and like that was her quest, was to get all those horses, and it was cool stuff, man. And then seeing like the flames and like the skeleton lab, man, that was cool. It'd be fun if they did that for 2, but I don't think they will.
I don't think so.
I think they already said that they're not doing any DLC,
Yeah.
storyline DLC. If they do, it'll be in.
Well, it's because
Online.
they wanted to push the Red
Red Dead Online, which that launched really fucking terrible.
which sucks because
I mean, GTA 5 wasn't good either when it first started.
Yeah, but they fixed it quicker than they did Red Dead Online.
And I just feel like GTA Online just makes so much more sense than Red Dead Online.
It really does.
GTA is a very quick, chaotic game where you need like vehicles and guns and to be able to get across the map, because that was the part of the fun of GTA. But like Red Dead 2, like it's not that type of game because you can't, because it's freaking the Old West. It's like, I don't know.
I think GTA Online is boring as fuck.
It is, unless you're playing with people.
I don't know.
Even then, it can
All
get
I did
boring.
was rob all the convenience stores, and then I tried to do some of the missions and stuff, and I was just like, I don't.
Well, I mean,
do
like,
this.
I feel like it's super, like, it's supposed to be really, really good now, but at the same time, you can't get into it now.
No.
It's too late. If you haven't played it at this point, then you're screwed.
Yeah, because everybody has these fucking rocket cars that no matter what
Yeah.
level you are, they just come after you.
And
for no
everybody has
reason.
shit tons of money, so like
They just buy shark cards all the time.
a lot of those missions require you to have like you have to own like a strip club or or like a regular club or something. And so, like, to do that, you have to have a ton of money, and to have a ton of money, you
Yeah.
have to be doing missions. But the only way to do missions is if you have purchased the thing. Like, the one, like, there's that big, like, spy one where it was, like, a secret base kind of thing. I was like, well, you can't do that until you can buy it, but it takes this amount of money. And the only thing that pays you that kind of money is doing the missions after you have that place.
Yeah.
So.
It's a weird system. They definitely update it for the people who are still committed to it, which, I mean, it's kind of cool.
I mean, that's
It's fun for like
because that game's like
an
what
hour.
it's almost
That's about
6
it.
years old now, right?
yeah. I mean, it came out last generation, so.
Yeah, like it's crazy how much they've been keeping up with that game.
I think a lot of people forget that it came out on the previous generation.
It came out at the very tail end, because I remember I got it for the 360. That was one of the last games I got for the 360 was GTA 5.
Yeah,
And then I never got it for the new consoles.
I definitely think GTA Online, even though it launched in a not very good state, it launched better than Red Dead Online. Because with Red Dead Online, you can buy anything, you can do anything. There was like different types of money that you couldn't really keep track of that well. It was not.
It was really boring.
It wasn't balanced well
It was,
at
it
all.
was really boring to play.
There was nothing to do.
Because you would just run around on horses killing each other. Like, that's all it was.
Which, that was how the first Red Dead Online was, but, like, it was more fun because, like, you didn't have to worry about money.
Yeah.
The way you got guns is you leveled up to a certain level and you got this weapon, and then, like, oh, okay, the way you earn XP is by doing, like, duels or these different, like, fucking team death matches, or just by capturing a base and then just holding off the law, and that's how you earn XP. Also, why is it called XP and not EP if it's experience points?
The experience.
I guess so, but
It looks better, and
Anyway.
then EP is
I mean-
already a thing.
Also, they spell XP EXP, so.
most places I see it XP.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So yeah, so that was mine.
Oh.
I still listen to the soundtrack. I listen to it when I'm at work and stuff like that.
What number are we on? I don't
We're on
remember.
2.
2. I don't have mine numbered, so I don't know why I keep asking that. I just keep forgetting where we're at.
no, I feel that.
How many more do I have to remember?
2.
All right. So my next one, my second to last one, that'll help me. My second to last one is going to be Pokemon. The first console I had was a Game Boy, and the first game I had was Pokemon Yellow version. And man, I don't know, that game, I was probably 6 or 7 when I was playing that, and ever since then I still play the original gen Pokemon. Every town has its own song. Everything has its own song. Riding a bike sounds different than walking. The Pokemon have their own little, like, their cries are just different, like, little chiptune sounds that when I was a little kid, I was like, they're supposed to say their names. They're not saying their name, but it's because I didn't realize that on a Game Boy you can't really have, like, voice acting. Like, I got lucky on Yellow version having them say, like, Pikachu, being able to say, Pikachu! So, I don't know. That's just... But, man, like, so many good songs from Pokemon. The Pokemon Center has its own little tune. I remember them constantly in my head. The most iconic one is Lavender Town, because there was this whole urban legend mythos when I was a kid that the Lavender Town music was causing kids in Japan to commit suicide.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
because it's just like this really weird, like asynchronous, like weird offbeat sound. I don't know. It's
supposedly if you play it backwards and look at the waveform, there's a devil. I've seen videos of it on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, I guess.
How can you tell? It's just a bunch of wavy lines. I'm looking at wavy lines right now. It doesn't look like shit.
Well, I mean, like, if you load in all the tracks. So,
Oh.
like, if you load in all the tracks and have them stacked on top of each other and then play it backwards.
Yeah, because that's what they were thinking of.
Yeah.
They made that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It
Pokemon.
could be totally fake. I don't fucking know.
It's definitely fake. What do you mean? It could be. It's.
I don't fucking know. I don't play
There's no-
Pokemon.
There's no way that was real, man.
Yeah. That's.
Or if it is, it's like super reaching and it's definitely not on purpose.
Also, I just think that the last thing that a 1990s Japanese game developer was thinking about was
Oh, we should put a devil in our music.
we should put some heavily American Christianic Satan symbols in our game about catching cute little animals and having them
battle to the death.
until unconsciousness.
Beat her. Okay, I'm not gonna say that.
What?
I was gonna say beat our creatures to a pulp. To the brink of unconsciousness.
Man, you're brutal.
Yeah.
You really don't like Pokemon. do you?
Pokemon's brutal.
No, man, you want to beat up your Pokemon.
No, I
because you used to
don't.
love them.
You're beating up your Pokemon.
No,
if
you're not. Other
playing.
people are beating up your Pokemon. It's an agreement.
Yeah, but if you're training your Pokemon.
I mean, you're not out there just punching it in the eye.
It's not a fighter versus a Pokemon. Because if that was the case, the fighter would lose every time.
Yeah, because they get to do like fire attacks and shit. Like that would suck.
What if they're wearing a fire suit?
You just get
Okay.
shot with a psi beam and you're just like, no.
Or what if if you get like hit with a shit ton of rocks.
Oh god, yeah, right.
Like,
Or just magma, just vomits magma all over your face, and you're just like,
that's
oh, okay.
that's the fun joke. I love seeing that like meme picture where it was like the little comic strip of like I wish for Pokemon to be real, and then like a Pikachu appears, and then like the next like shot is like him being vaporized as he's going yay, and then like you just see the Pokemon just like destroying the world outside. It's totally what would happen
Yeah, for sure.
because they're wild animals with insane powers. But similar to yours thing, I didn't have y'all. I had Pokemon. It was Blue.
Blue?
Yeah, I had Pokemon Blue. Well, I say I did. My brother had it, and then when you got like the Game Boy Advance, like you could play old Game Boy games on that. So I played Blue. I played a lot of that.
Blue's a good one. Who was your starter?
Jesus
I'll
Christ.
tell you if you did it right or not.
I don't remember, to be honest with you, man. It's been so long. And then I would play different
I
every
can't
time.
remember one of three. Was it blue, red, or green? Your Pokemon.
It was probably Blue.
Probably pick Squirtle.
It definitely was Squirtle then. Yeah.
That's not a bad choice.
I don't know why I was thinking Bulbasaur, but
Because Bulbasaur is the right choice.
yeah.
Everyone will tell you, go for Charmander. But Charmander is weak against the first few gyms, and it's really dumb. It's really an uphill battle.
Yeah.
The way to go is Bulbasaur, because immediately you can destroy the first two gyms, and then the second gym is he's not resistant but neutral against. And then in those games there was I guess you could call it a glitch. I don't really know how to describe it otherwise, but you could teach the move Toxic to Bulbasaur, which is like a poison move, but the damage is increased every turn. And then you could do Leech Seed on that same Pokemon. So if you did Leech Seed first and then Toxic, Leech Seed does a little bit of damage to the opponent, and then you gain that much as for health. And then you do Toxic, and then the game was coded incorrectly to where it would just fuse those two attacks together. So the Leech Seed damage would also increase every turn, and you would gain more health every turn. So you could just throw those two moves out there and then just wait for the other Pokemon to faint. And it was amazing. So that's why you pick Bulbasaur.
That's why you beat the system, bro.
Yeah.
It's all about beating the system. It's all about finding the chink in the armor.
Yeah. It's just like Dark Souls. You gotta find that way to progress.
Did you watch the Pokemon TV show a lot?
I did when I was a kid. At first I thought it was gospel, and then as I got older I was like, man, they really fuck up a lot of stuff that's really easy in the games. Like, I don't know why they keep because at first I was like, why aren't the games following the cartoon?
Yeah.
But it's because the games are based on, or wait, no, was it games and then a manga, or was it a manga and then a game? I think it was games first, then manga, and then anime.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I don't know. The
Yeah.
show's okay.
I don't know. The thing with the show that I could never get into, because I never watched it when I was a kid. When I go back to watch it now, or like the movies, like Ash is such like, he's so terrible at being a Pokemon like trainer.
Yeah,
He's not good,
he fucking sucks.
and it's really hard to watch it because you're like, how are you failing the most basic task? Like you have still like, what is your problem? And it makes it.
It still irks me to this day that the way he beat Brock was having Pikachu dump a bucket of water on an Onix and then shocking it, and it's like, it's still a rock, okay? The water would have done the damage. It's weak against water. I don't know what your problem is, but I do like the movies. I haven't watched the new one on Netflix yet.
I've watched the for Pokemon
Mewtwo
movies.
Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I want to watch that because it looks cool. I
haven't watched like the remastered version. I watched
Oh.
the original. I'm talking about the
Oh, first movie?
Yeah.
I love Detective Pikachu.
It's a lot of
I
fun.
went and saw it in theaters, and then as soon as it came out on Blu-ray, I bought it.
Yeah, I watched it in theaters.
Fucking
it was a lot of fun. And it took me a while to get past like the animation style because they kept the cartoony look of them, and so that took a minute for me. But once you get past that, it gets pretty good.
Yeah,
So,
I liked it.
yeah, that's a pretty solid number 2.
Pokemon.
All right.
What piece of shit's your number 2, Tyler?
Well, my piece of shit is the Uncharted series.
Who?
Uncharted.
I thought you said Charizard series. I was like, I just talked about that.
No, the Uncharted series. And like when you're going through the games, you don't really notice like the overall music because it's just it fits so well that it's not popping out. It's not like grabbing your attention so much that you're like, "Oh my gosh, this music is epic." And that's partially really really good because Ben and I just played a game called Army of Two: Devil's Cartel. And the fucking menu music is so annoying.
Dude, the opening, not to rain on your parade, but the opening title music for the Uncharted, or at least for the remastered version, is so intense and so in your face.
That's why I love it. Because
It blows, like, it's just constantly blowing horns in your face. Ba, 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 ba. Like, it's just, like, it's so
that's why I
annoying.
love it, because it's reminiscent of John Williams. Like, I love that the
it's
games are so... They're basically like almost a modern day Indiana Jones with, like, at least in the first 2 games, a shitty person. Because I mean, like, Nathan Drake in the first one is kind of a shit person.
Well, he's kind of like, because Indiana Jones wasn't as much, like, I feel like Nathan Drake resembles more Han Solo than anything else, because
I
he's
think
like,
it's a mash. of
he's
the
like
two.
a smuggler with a heart of gold, so like he's got like he's got like kind of a hard exterior. He's a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
He drinks a lot. Like doesn't really care. He's kind of like misogynistic a little bit, but like at the end of the day, like he's gonna make the sacrifice play and stuff like that. And that
Yeah.
it's interesting.
But I don't know. Like, I love the music, and like I watched a YouTuber play through the 4th one because when it came out, I didn't have a PS4, and like, he came to the realization while the credits were rolling that like, oh shit, this is his theme. I never noticed that, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. This plays every time. In the opening shot where you see Nathan Drake in every single game, it plays, aside from the second one where he's hanging from a fucking train. But like, it's just so epic and bombastic. It reminds me of those like 80s John Williams themes. I love it.
It's one of those games, like, I really like that game series. I've played all of them. And that's one of those games that, regretfully, I don't remember a single part about the music.
Yeah.
I
had to go back and review the music.
It's
so I was like, oh,
it's
really
very
cool.
it's a lot of it is because like that game is 1 of 2 modes, or 1 of 3 modes I would say. You're either sneaking around, or you're in like a shoot 'em up, or you're in a cinematic thing where you're trying to run away in these really cool sequences. Because Naughty Dog games, especially those ones, were very like they were like playthrough movies almost.
Basically, yeah.
Which is fine. Like it's a lot of fun to do that. The only one that I don't think did that too well was the first one, but
I don't think the first one's very good as a game in general. Like,
I think it was a good jump off point, but I don't think
it was
overall
fine
was
for the time.
great.
But like playing through it
rough.
now is
god awful.
It was like
I
that
could
Matthew
spend-
McConaughey movie.
Lincoln Lawyer.
No, not Lincoln Lawyer.
Why
The
do
one-
you bring up Lincoln Lawyer every time we
Don't
hang out,
bring up
Tyler?
Lincoln Lawyer. You do. I'm talking about the one where they find the submarine from the Civil War in the Middle East.
Sahara.
Sahara, yeah.
Is that the third one? I know
What?
you're talking about.
It just like the first movie oh my god, the first game reminds me of that movie. As far as like Matthew McConaughey, oh my fucking god, I can't talk. Matthew McConaughey's character and Nathan Drake seem quite similar in personality.
It's kind of like Blue Crush.
What is Blue Crush?
Isn't that movie
I don't have no clue.
where they're looking for a treasure?
You've lost.
I have
me,
no
man.
idea what you're talking about.
That might be a surfing movie. I don't remember. Now.
Are you talking about the one with Paul Walker?
Is it a treasure hunting movie? And the water?
No, that is a Matthew McConaughey movie, but that's a different Matthew McConaughey movie. Where he's a scuba diver.
Yeah, what was that one called?
I don't know what you. I
Fool's
don't know,
Gold?
but it's. I know what you're talking about. Now.
Sounds familiar, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
Who-
We're not talking about Matthew.
Who gives a fucking shit?
Anyways,
All those movies suck.
I don't know. They're good popcorn movies.
Okay.
They're good Sunday afternoon movies.
What?
Like, you know, like after you finish your shit on Sunday morning and like you're like, all right, I got the rest of the day to do nothing before I have to go back to work or school. So you're like, well, there's nothing on TV and I don't want to watch any movies I have. Well, there's Sahara. Well, there's Fool's Gold. Well, there's insert any random movie that's an action adventure from the mid 2000s.
Spawn. Oh no, that's 90s.
Anyways, yeah, I love the Uncharted series.
The soundtrack was very good. It's very cinematic, and that's what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
It makes you feel like you're, like you could say the same thing for Tomb Raider and stuff like that.
True.
It's all cut from the same cloth in that sense. So I definitely think that is a solid choice for that.
I spent a summer playing through the first three when they were remastered because I had never played them before, and I was like, "Oh, this is epic."
The second one's my favorite.
I
The second one is good. They were one of the first games I got when I bought my PS4 was the remastered edition because I wanted to play through 4 because I've heard 4 is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a completionist, and you have to play through all of them.
Why do you say like it's a bad thing, man?
I don't know.
I still have yet to play 4. I need
But yeah,
to.
that's exactly what I was gonna say before you took the words right out of my mouth in a
I'm a word
condescending
stealer.
in a condescending way.
Yep,
But
that's what I do best.
I bet.
I condescend.
But yeah, so I'm currently playing through 3 right now. I just keep picking up other games.
I don't
so-
like 3. I think I'm crazy, but I don't like 3. I mean, like,
it's
I
not
don't.
that
I think it's better than 1, but it's my third. Like, my favorite is 2. Well, actually, I like 2, Lost Legacy, 4, 3, 1. I almost got confused. I started saying numbers, and I was like, "What am I doing again?" And I forgot what I was doing for a second.
2's definitely the best. The final boss fight, I figured out cheat because I kept having trouble with the final boss
Same.
fight. But I looked up a thing where if you stand near like the water, like the poisonous water, and then there is a giant like spore that you shoot to explode. There's a glitch where if you stand right there, like he won't attack you and he won't shoot you. So what he'll do is you'll like dodge him or whatever. You have to shoot the exploding things to get him caught into it, and then it goes into the choking attack that he does, which is easy to fight off, and so you just keep on doing that. But every time you do that, that takes health from him, and so you just stand there and you just do that, and that's how I beat the final boss.
I beat it like a normal person because I don't suck.
You know what? Shut up. Okay. I thought it was really cool when I figured out how to do that.
Oh, you figured it out on your own?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
If you can figure out an exploit, use it.
Yeah,
That's what I did. Just because I was having such a hard time, because that game on that level, like you're having to run around and shoot at the same time.
It's a hard boss.
Yeah, it sucked, but it took forever though. It took me almost 20 minutes to do it.
I still think that boss is better than like the entire ending sequence to 3 though.
I haven't beat 3.
I would
so
agree.
not yet.
It's long. It felt like 10 hours alone, but it wasn't. But it just drug out.
I'm not excited. Well, the final then the boss I don't know, the whole zombie sequence on the first one was kind of
Oh my god, it just comes out of nowhere. I was playing that at 3 a.m. with one of my friends in high school, and he was half watching me play it, And I was playing through it, and I get to that section, and it jumps out, and he just fucking screams because, like, the noise was so loud that they make, and you don't expect it because you're just going through this.
No, because the game doesn't seem like that. It's,
No,
it's
not
that kind of
at
game
all.
at all. It totally
They
takes
don't give
a
you
left.
any hint to it
It
at
totally
all.
takes a
I mean,
left.
it starts with a Nazi sub.
A Nazi sub, but it doesn't talk about like not like zombies.
Yeah, it
Like,
doesn't talk
or
about,
zombie
like,
mutants
weird
or-
experiments they're doing.
Yeah, like that part totally came out of left field.
Yeah.
So, yeah, God.
Anyways.
what a wacky game series.
That was my number 2. Ben, what would you
My number
say?
one. Well, you already guessed it at the beginning. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you mean the one that I was like, it's your number one? You said it's not my number one, and now it's your number one.
Oh, I told you I was gonna put Red Dead there too first, but I wanted to do the 2 thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, number 1 is Halo.
Halo
Surprise, surprise. Halo 1, the original Halo. Yes.
Combat Evolved.
Halo Combat Evolved. That is like one of the first games I can ever remember playing because both my older brothers had the original Xbox, and that was like the big game everybody had on that Xbox. So that was the launch title, I'm pretty sure. And so I can remember them bringing their friends over, doing LAN parties, all that kind of stuff. Like I wasn't a part of that per se. I was very adjacent to that, if that makes sense. But I would still get to play all the time. But like that.
You essentially got to watch your brother play with his friends when you had to go to bed at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and then I would sneak into the room, and they were like, as long as you're quiet and don't say anything, you can sit here and watch. And that's what I did. And then anytime they weren't playing, I would play it. Yeah, the Halo soundtrack is iconic. I think it's one of the best soundtracks of all time. Like, it's so memorable. There's so many good parts to it, to where it's the opening menu sequence with the I'm not gonna do it because I can't do pitches, but you know what I'm talking about. The choir and stuff like that, and then anytime like something intense would happen, you'd be and you hear those drums coming in, and then like shit got real because you're about to fucking fly over this hill in your Warthog with your friends sitting in the back fucking shooting that machine gun. Like, it was just so good, and the music did such a good job of just getting you pumped up to kill all those aliens, man. It was so much fun, and it was like a little bit futuristic with the whole like angelic choir kind of mixed into it, and you're like, oh, this is weird. And then it would go into like these horn parts, and they would and then like the big kind of like almost tribal drums to kind of mix it. There's just all these like such a weird sci-fi concoction that only this game can do, and I loved it.
For sure. So what's funny is the way that I got into Halo was I traded for it with my older brother. I gave him Medal of Honor Frontline.
Interesting choice.
And he gave me Halo. And this was back before it like had blown up. So like I was just like, because I was playing Medal of Honor Frontline, and that game, if anybody remembers, it has the first level is the almost exact same as the opening sequence to Saving Private Ryan, where you storm the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah.
And then I got stuck on a level like not too deep into the game, like only like 3 levels in. There was like this thing about a submarine, and I didn't know where to go or what to do. And so I was like, I'm not having fun with this. And I didn't like, that was on my original Xbox. I didn't have very many games.
Yeah.
And so my older brother was like not playing his anymore, and I was like, hey, he's like, you know, we could always trade games if you want to trade games. And I was like, okay, well, you want to trade for this this Medal of Honor game? And he's like, okay. So we trade, and I don't know, like I hadn't played a first-person shooter that I had loved since like GoldenEye, and I was just like, yes, this is what I want to continue doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like learning the ins and outs of every mission. My favorite mission was 5, Attack on the Citadel or whatever it's called, or Control Room, Attack on the Control Room.
Yeah.
We're going through the snow, and there's like sleeping grunts, and you can sneak up behind them and punch them. And
Yep.
oh man, so many good moments, so many good sounds. Again, one of my biggest complaints though is that it's the same songs that play over and over, and that bugs me a little bit. But I mean, at the time it didn't bug me because it was like that's how you knew it was game time.
Yeah, because anytime, anytime you would get to like a level where you're like, okay, like shit's about to get real, you're about to drop in or something like that, you would hear the drums and do all that, and it was really, really good. and like getting you pumped up and stuff like that. And like that's what it would do for me is like I would just get pumped. I'm like I'm ready to fucking hit some grunts in the face and make them explode. Like it was so much fun. It just yeah.
I mean, even as like a kid who grew up with almost purely Sony entertainment systems, I can recognize how unique and like pretty amazing the Halo soundtrack is. Because I mean, like, there was one night that I spent the night at a friend's house when I was younger, and we played through almost the entirety of Halo 3 or 4, I don't remember which one, but we stayed up till like 4 or 5 in the morning, and we were on the last level, and his mom came out and yelled at us, and we were like, "Are you guys ever gonna go to bed?" So I guess the TV was up loud or something like that. I don't think it was though, but like, I can definitely like agree that the soundtrack, especially when you're going into combat, definitely kind of gets you amped, and you're like, all right, here we go. This is what we're doing, and it's pretty epic. I mean, the title theme is just, it's somber and futuristic and classical all at the same time, and I love it.
Like I think that soundtrack is one of the few where you can just pull it up and go up to like any random person, like, oh, that's the Halo soundtrack. Like at least anybody who's played a game or anything like that,
Exactly.
it's instantly recognizable, and it's one of those things. It's I think it's up there with like the Mario theme song with how iconic it is, and it just. And it gives me just like that. It was my ringtone for the longest time. Like, I remember this isn't the first one. I remember the third one had a really, really, really good soundtrack. Because that was the one where everyone thought Master Chief had died, and the song that they did for that, the bum ba bum, like just like the piano chords and with the slow hum, like the choir in the background. You're just like, oh shit, things are getting real here. But yeah, I put so many hours into that game. The multiplayer I don't think had a whole lot of the soundtrack to it. It was really just like straight up gun sounds, which is, it's what you want. But yeah, I put so many hours in the game. I remember because I was a little kid and I was really bad at it. My brother made up this game called Car Tag. And so it was literally it was like bumper cars, so we would both be in like warthogs and stuff like that and just like playing tag with them. And so we driving across the maps and stuff and all those good things. And the first one, like some of the gun mechanics were so broken that like you could like snipe with the pistol from across the map and stuff like that. Like it was so good. But yeah, that's definitely, I think it actually is appropriate that this one's at my number one, just because I think that dude is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I always will be. I will always remember it. But
yeah, for sure, super memorable.
Yep. All right, dude. Up you go.
My number one is The Last of Us.
Oh, that's a good one.
Damn.
It's a very, very good one.
So yeah, I pick The Last of Us. It's probably one of my favorite games of all time, just because I probably told you guys this already, but I'm a huge zombie nerd, and I really like the way the story is told, the zombie story in this, and man, the music, like, it's so simple, it's so, it's acoustic guitar, it's I don't know, there's so much emotion behind it, but it's not like super technical. I forgot the guy's name that did the composition, but like it was one, like I was actually so interested. I watched a 45-minute video on how he like put together the soundtrack, and for a long time my PS4 theme was the one that has his music that plays in it until I got sick of hearing music on my home screen. I don't know. I have a weird thing now where it's like I want dead fucking silence. I don't want to hear shit.
I feel that.
Yeah.
But I still have a Last of Us theme. It's the burning car in the rain, and it's great. But yeah, man, I don't know, like that sad, somber guitar, acoustic guitar, that just gets me every time. It's a little southern, but it's not like hillbilly guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it much more than that, but
it's very American, West-leaning, just very grassroots and.
Is it like Americana stuff?
Yes. Yes.
You seen Logan?
Yeah.
okay, Logan's got some of that in there, where it's
Okay.
got that kind of like southern.
Is it kind of like it was like the Johnny Cash like Hurt song like that they did for the trailer, or is it more just like the soundtrack of the movie itself?
Soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's got essence of that Johnny Cash kind of, but it's not
Very spacey, very kind of, I guess you could say dark country, but it's also alternative.
dark country. Yeah, it has more emotion than I think Johnny Cash,
I agree.
Okay.
which is weird to say because you would think like, oh man, Johnny Cash could put a lot of emotion in a song, but I was like, do you really think that, or is it just that documentary about that Joaquin Phoenix
Walk the
movie?
Line.
Yeah, Walk
That's
Hard.
a good movie too.
Walk Hard's better.
I haven't seen Walk Hard.
Oh man, you should watch Walk Hard. It's really funny. John C. Reilly.
I love John C. Reilly. He's funny.
Yeah, dude. But
You know, I've actually never played that game.
You never played Last
it's
of
So
Us?
because
fantastic.
I only got my PS4 like a year ago, and so I didn't have access to like a PS4 really before.
do you have a
that.
PS3?
I didn't know my
I
brother.
was about to say.
And so I never got to he had one, so whenever I would go to his house, we would play like multiplayer games. So those are the games I remember playing on PS3. I never got to play The Last of Us. I want to, and I'm probably gonna pick it up because the new one's gonna be coming.
It was one of the free games last year on PS Plus.
I can probably lend it to you if you want. I'm going home this weekend, so
Right.
I can pick it up and get it to you.
But I would love to because
In 2 weeks.
No, I'm going home like after
he's
Saturday.
coming
after
to
Sunday.
stay back
Oh.
up at campus to work.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want to play through that game. What kind of game is it? Like, I know next to nothing about it.
Okay, so
It's a zombie survival cinematic storytelling
yeah,
experience.
so it's a third-person shooter
Mm-hmm.
with some very strong stealth elements. There are
I would almost say it's kind of reminiscent of like Resident Evil as far as like how you have to manage your inventory. Like at least like the re-release and like the updated
Of
versions
2?
of them. Yes.
yes.
I haven't played them, but I've seen people play them.
I wouldn't. Okay, so the difference between the resource management and like Resident Evil is that it's like, especially now, like so now it's like you got 12 slots, right? And it's like each item takes up a slot. So you might have like a backpack full of things, and then you find a key item, and it's like, well, shit, I need this to open the door. Do I throw away this ammo or this health kit? So that's item management. With this game, it's not necessarily anything like that. It's mostly like there's a lot of cover based stuff. You know, you get behind cover. There's different like I guess the one item management would be ammo, because it's like when you're
Sparse and few between.
and especially depending on what difficulty you're playing, because
Mhm.
the easier the difficulty, it's not necessarily the enemies are easier. I think the enemies don't really change all that much. It's more the resources that you can get, because you loot through like how like the maps that you go through are pretty large and expansive, but they are pretty linear. You're going from point A to point B, but between point A and point B, there'll be like houses, and you can go through the houses and open. You're encouraged to like, you know, go through drawers, and maybe you'll find there's like
It's like the looting mechanic in Red Dead 2.
yeah, like you want to get scrap, because the scrap is basically the point system you need to upgrade your weapons. And then there's also like hidden things, like you can there's a little bit of crafting. You can craft like shivs, you can craft, which the shivs will open doors, or if you get attacked by a zombie, you can use that as a free get out of the attack, because if you don't, then they bite you and you die. It's like a one-hit thing with them. But the different enemy types, I think there's only like 4 or 5, and one of them are humans, and the humans are actually the hardest ones, because they're not stupid. It's not stupid AI. They hide behind cover. They take shots when you leave cover. Like, it's like if you try to pop up to shoot them, that's when they shoot at you. They're waiting for you to do the same thing that you're waiting for them to do. They'll try to flank you. Like, 2 of them will shoot at you, and 1 of them will actually come around on you. So there's the stealth thing is all about, like, you might see like a group of humans that are going to attack you, so maybe you try to like pick them off one at a time and do it quietly. You know, there's not any silenced weapons, like you don't have silencers or anything. You do have a bow and arrow, but like the arrows are, one of those commodities where they can break, and if you break an arrow, then you can't pick it back up, and then you're fewer shots. So it's going from cover to cover, breaking stuff, exploring the environment, and then the zombies. The cool thing about the zombies is all the zombies are blind, so they rely on sound, and so there's a lot of the decision is, do you fight them or do you sneak around them? You can throw bottles and bricks to distract them so you can move forward. Do you want to take them on? There's not any XP gain for killing them, but it does make it easier to get through areas and explore if you want to kill them. So
I definitely say the zombies, which are known as clickers in the game, are more scary than regular zombies, like in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Going through that game and coming across an area that's completely dark where you have to use your flashlight or whatever, and seeing one of those things is fucking terrifying. And you have to move so slow in order to not make any sound. And there's always going to be one blocking a door that you need to go into, so you have to toss it across the room or toss it in back of you and try to sneak around it and not touch it.
And the map, the way that the levels are put together is you almost always can
it's not
see.
open world, is it?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Old?
No, open world.
Oh, sorry. No. Yeah, it's not open world. It's a linear story game. I would say it's like if Gears of War had a stealth mode, because it's there's a lot of that cover system, and it's got that same thing where it's the way that the map is set up is you almost always can see your destination off in the horizon, and you're making your way towards that, and so it's the beats of where the story and the pacing and the dialogue between the characters is almost always at a point where you can see it. It's okay, I gotta start going that way. It's kind of you've played the Uncharted games, you're always seeing off in the distance where you need to go.
Yeah.
And then the maps they feel really big and expansive because there's a lot of the sidewinding through and that's how Dark Souls does it too, where there's a lot of where the map folds in on itself, giving you that those mountain miles of I'm traveling very far, but you're really not traveling that far because it's condensed. But it's really great. Probably one of the best. It feels like the most lived-in zombie apocalypse game, compared to Left 4 Dead or anything like that, where it's there's a bunch of zombies and you're searching for stuff, but this actually feels like you're going through houses looking for things that you need. You need those pills, you need that med kit, you need that scrap material so you can craft together a proximity bomb. There's, I don't know, it's a really I really like those kinds of games where it's really satisfying to search for stuff. I guess that's probably why I play battle royale games, not because of the shooting and the winning. It's more you drop into a place with nothing and then you scavenge for things. I like scavenger games, and that's what this feels like for a large portion of it. Is it's going through and scavenging shit, and then also popping some dudes in the head, and good story.
Yeah. And I mean, even though it's released, I don't even know how many years ago now.
It was real late in the PS3, so it was, I think it came out a year before PS3 stopped having things, so 2012?
Something like that.
2013?
And the next gen port didn't come too much long after that.
Yeah.
But I mean, even though it's been at least 7, maybe 8 years since it came out, there's still a huge hype train about it. And I mean, I watched E3 a couple years ago. Also, E3 is trash now.
It's canceled now.
Yeah, I know. But I remember seeing the trailer for Last of Us 2, and pretty much the entire trailer.
You just had to throw your name in there, didn't you?
I didn't mean to. The entire trailer is basically Ellie sitting in a room playing a guitar that she found, and Joel walking around this house looting and just doing stuff, and she's singing the song, and it's so somber and chilling.
Isn't there a DLC too that's supposed to be really good?
Yes,
the DLC is great. It's probably in my top 10 DLCs because
it takes the gameplay and builds upon it, and it also builds on the story of Ellie.
Yeah, and where it's paced, where it's placed at within the story itself is there's this gap in the story that, like, playing the game like the game normal, you're like, you know, I wonder what's happening at this point in time, because there's this like little section, this little gap thing here, and then that DLC fits like right into it, and so like it being a completionist, it feels really smooth. Like, it's like, man, if only, like, almost to the point, like, I wish that they would have just like done the thing where they just put it in there and you just do it anyway and not have it be separate. But it's kind of nice that it's separate too. But
Yeah.
and the DLC's actually easier. There's not as many like combat sections. It's mostly story development and character development. But there's some combat in there, but it's not as
Intense.
prevalent, as the rest of the game. But it's phenomenal. And there is a multiplayer that everyone that has played it has spoken highly of. I've never played it, and I probably won't, since it's probably either dead or dying.
I didn't even know it had a multiplayer, honestly.
Factions or something like that. I don't remember what it's called.
Hmm.
It's just team deathmatch. It's like Uncharted.
Oh, okay.
Multiplayer.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah,
And like Uncharted's multiplayer is boring.
I didn't like it either.
I never really got to play it.
But The Last of Us, check it out. Shit's rad.
Hell yeah.
Last of Us Part 2 coming soon.
Hopefully.
What do you mean? No, it's like 2 months away.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Maybe less.
Yeah, game sales aren't going to be stopped by any of this.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah. So
That was my number one.
my number one relates to one that we talked about earlier, and it is my all-time, honestly, probably my all-time favorite game. And
If you say
favorite
Star
games
Wars,
I've
I'm gonna
got.
hate you.
Star Wars. Just kidding. It's Red Dead Redemption.
Oh.
I fucking love this game. I was in middle school when it came out, and I spent probably 3 years just replaying the story over and over and over. And, like, I love the soundtrack so much. Like, I even know who it's by. It's by Bill Hicks and Woody Elm. And, like, how they did it. Rockstar released, like, a 15 or 20-minute video showing how they recorded the sounds and showing what instruments they used and stuff. And it's so amazing. And I love when people like that show how they created this work of art. And what I love about the soundtrack is that it's adapted to situations. It's all in the key of A minor, but like it's based off of song stems. So what it does is when you're doing one thing and then you change to another, it seamlessly changes into the next stem, which varies on what you're doing. So like if you're riding a horse, it might have this like boom 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 boom. I don't know, fucking know. But like, and then you get into a gunfight, it goes dun 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 or something like that, and it's just, I love it so much. It's amazing, and I mean, just wow, I love it. Like, I listen to it while I study. I listen to it while I drive sometimes. Gosh.
that's how I feel about the second one too. But I put a lot of hours into that first game. Whatever. I don't know if I played
not
it.
to.
I don't know if I played it when it came out, but I did play it around that time, and I definitely it was still going for me at first, just because I'm, as much as I love playing video games, I'm really bad at them in the beginning. I have a very big learning curve, so that game took a little bit for me to get used to. But once I got into the groove of things, it was so much fun. Especially once you get introduced to like the Deadeye system, it's so good, and it's so satisfying to just pop people's heads off with that. Just go ping, 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 like oh. He just gets the pistol and goes. It's great. Love it.
But yeah, that's my
Red
number
Dead.
one. I love
Nice.
it holds a special place in my heart. Like, I've been replaying it whenever I have just free time and I don't have anything else to do this year. And it's been out for I don't know how many fucking years, and I still love it. I still come back to the same locations in the game. And like, I did this here, I did this, that, and I remember this playing there. And I love that game so much. But yeah, it's my
It's
number
pretty
one.
fun.
Yeah,
The story was really good too.
I agree.
Get hunting after your old posse folk.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know, I said folk, but your old posse. And then the whole thing with Dutch and stuff like that, and then the thing where like the marshals turned on you anyways when they were using you, like it was good.
It's good. And that ending, just when seeing him get shot up by all those dudes.
No matter what you do.
Yeah, it's just there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you're gonna die. You know what's funny though? So I didn't know that was the real ending.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that like the game ended when you killed Dutch, and then everything you're doing with your kid afterwards was just like post game stuff. I'm like, oh well, this sucks, and so I never beat it. And it was years before. I think it was around the time Red Dead 2 came out. It was a couple months before, and I was talking about it with my friends, and I was like, yeah, Red Dead was good, but the ending kind of sucked though. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you just sit on a farm, raise your kid, get to hear him talk shit to you the whole time. Like, this sucks. He's like, that's not the ending. And it was funny. So I finally went back and beat it. I was like, oh shit, this is an ending.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised you didn't know, because that's like on a thing that's on top lists all the time. Is like that ending.
I don't know, man. I don't know how I got around that. It was a good couple years before I finally went back and beat it. I had to like dig out my Xbox 360 and plug it in and play it, but it was good.
Man,
Nice, solid number one.
that's my number one.
So
Number one.
Number uno. Well, do you guys have any final comments before we conclude this?
I don't think so.
no, I think we pretty much exhausted this topic that we were going to talk about. Then we talked a lot about more video games in the soundtrack, which is completely fine by me.
Yep.
That's the whole point of this, anyways.
Hell yeah.
So.
Sounds good.
Oh yeah. Thank you for listening. We've been Spectacle Squad. I am Tyler.
Sounded like you said
Nice.
spectacle. Like
Yeah, I was
spit.
like, what?
Spectacle Squad.
You gotta really emphasize that E.
Yeah.
You did it again.
Spectacle Squad.
All right. Well, I'm Jordan.
I'm Ben.
Thanks for listening. Bye.